Chapter 2583. I don't need these pills. You can split them among yourselves. Ling Xiao suddenly said. Rather than saying that he didn't need them, it was more accurate to say that he didn't care about them at all. The pills that he refined himself were much better than these lousy ones. However, to him they were lousy. To Lin Ruoxian and Moon Death, they were treasures. However, the two girls knew that Ling Xiao knew how to refine pills, so they didn't decline and accepted them directly. Let's go. We don't need to meet up with Chun Kanglin. We'll go directly to the Chun Kingdom's capital. After the previous incident, Ling Xiao realized that following Chun Kanglin was not only not safe, but also very dangerous. They might be intercepted and killed again. It was better to go to the Chun Kingdom's capital alone. It was more secretive and less likely to be attacked. Lin Ruoxian and Moon Death had no reason to object. Therefore, the three of them kept a low profile and didn't fly. Instead, they hurried through the forest. They had obtained a map from Chun Kanglin so they wouldn't get lost. The three of them hurried on. When night fell, Ling Xiao ordered them to set up camp by the roadside. It was very dangerous to travel at night. Even a warrior's vision would be greatly affected. Moreover, the journey to the Chun Kingdom's capital was very dangerous. They had to pass through the terrifying western mountain range. There were some places in the mountain range that even a Yin Yang realm warrior at the 18th level of hell didn't dare to enter easily. Ling Xiao naturally didn't dare to take the risk. The three of them sat in a tent by the roadside and cultivated. Around dawn, a jade thumb ring in Ling Xiao's storage ring suddenly shook violently. This jade thumb ring was given to him by Ling Yan. He said that it was proof of their brotherhood. Ling Xiao had always thought so too. However, the jade thumb ring suddenly shook violently tonight. Ling Xiao suddenly felt that things might not be so simple. He didn't disturb Lin Ruoxian and Moon Death. He left a letter in the tent and then released the jade thumb ring. The jade thumb ring pierced through the air, heading in a certain direction at high speed. Ling Xiao believed that Ling Yan would not harm him, so he also believed that this jade ring would not lead him into a ditch. Therefore, he also chased after them. After about half an hour, he found a cave behind a waterfall. The cave was very hidden, and there were obvious signs of man-made construction. After entering the cave, the jade ring continued to move forward and brought Ling Xiao to a stone house. Inside the stone house, there was a corpse that had already withered to the point that only bones remained. There was also a jade thumb ring on the finger of the corpse, which was almost identical to the one in Ling Xiao's hand. The word Ling was also engraved on it, but the color was different. The one in Ling Xiao's hand was carved from suet white jade. However, this jade thumb ring was made of the finest golden jadeite. The moment the two jade thumb rings came into contact with each other, the environment in the stone house underwent a huge change. Originally, there was nothing but spider webs, dust, and a corpse. Now, there was a large number of neatly stacked spirit stones, various magic treasures, pills, and martial arts manuals. Yenner, you're finally back. The moment those treasures appeared, an illusory figure also appeared at the same time. However, this should be a recorded image, so it didn't recognize Ling Xiao. Instead, it was narrating something. When the two jade thumb rings come together, it means that you have successfully cultivated and returned to the Chun Kingdom's capital. Our Ling family's blood feud cannot be forgotten. However, you must not be reckless. Otherwise, I won't be at ease even if I become a ghost in the underworld. The things here are enough for you to have the same starting point as those royal nobles. With your talent, you will soon surpass them. When the time is ripe, I only have one request. Punish the people who framed the Ling family back then and avenge the Ling family. At this point, the speech ended. Ling Xiao looked at this scene and suddenly understood. This should be the Ling family patriarch who was wrongfully killed by the Chun Kingdom's royal family. Of the Ling family, only Ling Yan was left to drag out an ignoble existence. Before the Ling family patriarch died, he left this stone house for his son, Ling Yan, to inherit. This way, Ling Yan wouldn't have to worry about cultivation resources. After thinking about it, Ling Xiao put away the 2 jade thumb rings and everything else in a storage ring. This was his good brother's stuff. No matter how jealous he was, he couldn't touch it. Of course, if Ling Yan gave it to him, he wouldn't be polite. After all, spirit stones contain pure heaven and earth spirit qi. Martial artists could absorb spirit tools from spirit stones to increase their cultivation speed and efficiency. Low-grade spirit stones were the main currency in the mystic world. For this kind of thing, no matter how much you had, it would never be too much. After putting away the things, Ling Xiao didn't go back the way he came. Instead, his curiosity drove him to continue forward. This was because he discovered that there was a passage in the other direction of the stone house. Perhaps it was the Ling family's escape route. He really hoped that the Ling family wasn't completely dead. If that was the case, Ling Yan still had relatives. Who is it? After walking forward for about an hour, a white shadow suddenly flashed in front of him. Ling Xiao's mood became extremely nervous, but he was also a little excited. He gritted his teeth and sped up to chase after it. Perhaps there really was someone from the Ling family who survived. After chasing for more than 3 hours, he finally finished the long tunnel. His eyes suddenly opened up, as if he had arrived at another world. The bright moonlight covered the earth. The jungle was quiet and cold. Everything was so quiet, so beautiful, and so refreshing. Under the moonlight, a beautiful figure stood on the treetops. She clearly existed, but it was like a dream, so unreal. Looking at that peerless beauty, Ling Xiao's heart completely collapsed in an instant. As a man, his tears gushed out like a flood. Not because of beauty, but because of that face. Wasn't that the love of his life that he thought about day and night? Wasn't that his sister, the Moon Lady? The beautiful figure was wearing a layer of soft white gauze. Under the cold moonlight, she seemed to merge perfectly with the moon. However, it gave off a pitiful and lonely feeling. One couldn't help but want to hug her delicate body and take care of her. But one wouldn't have a blasphemous heart. Is she the Moon Lady? Isn't she? Ling Xiao felt that his brain was a little muddled. He couldn't wrap his head around it. According to the clues that he had obtained, the Moon Lady should be in the Eternal Palace. However, the woman in front of him had the appearance and aura of a Moon Lady. Ling Xiao believed that he wasn't mistaken. It was just that the Moon Lady now looked much younger. She originally looked like she was in her 20s, but now she looked like she was only 16 or 17 years old. She was less mature but more sweet. Who are you? Why are you here in the middle of the night? The peerlessly beautiful woman opened her mouth to speak. Chapter 2584. The woman's voice was like the sound of nature. It was fascinating. However, Ling Xiao suddenly felt sad and helpless. Yes, the woman he loved had no choice but to reincarnate because of him. Reincarnation was different from entering the mortal world. One would temporarily lose the memories of their previous life. Only after 10 lives of reincarnation would one's memories be completely restored. However, while feeling sad and helpless, Ling Xiao was also filled with happiness. It didn't matter if the Moon Lady still recognized him. As long as he recognized the woman he loved, that was enough. He believed that this was the Moon Lady because the feeling of being together day and night couldn't be fake. She was the love of his life. However, he obviously couldn't appear too intimate at this moment. Otherwise, he would really scare this girl. I'm Ling Xiao. I was chasing a white figure and accidentally entered this place. Please forgive me if I disturbed you. Ling Xiao tried his best to suppress the excitement in his heart and said, as calmly as possible, "May I know where this place is? Why are you here alone?" He had countless questions in his heart. The person in front of him was definitely the Moon Lady. However, why was the Moon Lady here? Why was she alone in the wilderness in the middle of the night? One had to know that this place was filled with monsters. Even powerful cultivators wouldn't dare to wander around at night. Moreover, she was a woman. Could it be that the Moon Lady's cultivation had recovered? Ling Xiao? Why is this name so familiar? Confusion flashed across the Moon Lady's eyes. This name was so familiar and intimate. She couldn't understand it, because she didn't know the man in front of her at all. Sighing softly, the Moon Lady said calmly, "This isn't my home. You don't have to apologize. However, this place is very dangerous. Go back to where you came from." Ling Xiao wanted to leave, but since he had already met the Moon Lady, how could he leave so easily? He cultivated so hard not only to avenge his father, but also to reach the immortal palace and find the Moon Lady. "Aren't you leaving?" The Moon Lady looked at Ling Xiao calmly. Perhaps it was this name that made her feel a little closer to this young man. However, her innate coldness still made her feel a little distant. Ling Xiao was about to answer. The Moon Maiden said again, "You don't want to leave, but I want to leave. I don't know how to get out of here. Can you help me?" "Of course." Ling Xiao agreed without hesitation. This was the woman he loved. How could he not help her? "I was originally the most outstanding disciple of the Eternal Life Palace, but after eating a meal and waking up, I found myself here. For nearly a year, I've been cultivating and growing in this desolate mountain range, all for the sake of returning to the Eternal Palace one day. The white shadow you saw just now was me. I was very surprised. That tunnel was clearly blocked by a formation. How did you get here?" The Moon Maiden inadvertently mentioned her own experience. He must have been framed. If he hadn't been framed, Ling Xiao wouldn't have been able to see his beloved woman so quickly. "Of course I know the way out. If you trust me, then come with me." Ling Xiao turned around and walked into the deep tunnel. The formation that was considered brilliant by others was not worth mentioning in his eyes. "Before leaving, I have something to do. Wait for me." The Moon Maiden glanced at the dense forest in the distance. "I was once indebted to someone. Now that I'm leaving, I have to say goodbye. I'll go with you," Ling Xiao said. The Moon Maiden frowned. She seemed to think that Ling Xiao was a little too enthusiastic. However, her brows immediately relaxed. "Let's go." Perhaps in the Moon Maiden's heart, because of the name Ling Xiao, she already had some trust in Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao nodded and followed her into the dense forest. How could he let the Moon Maiden take the risk alone? Even if this trip was very dangerous, he had to protect the Moon Maiden. This was his lifelong promise. In the quiet valley, the wild beasts were already asleep. Only a few insects in the middle of the night were making loud, chirping sounds. In the darkness, hundreds of figures were moving in the dense forest. It was the wee hours of the morning. Although it was already 3 or 4 in the morning, the sky was still dark. Even martial artists would not come out at this time. However, these people were moving in the same direction. It was a hidden valley. In the valley there were a few straw huts. The weeds in front of the huts were very clean. Clearly, someone had lived here before. "Boss, we've searched for so many years and finally found the place where the surviving members of the Ling family lived. Shouldn't we inform the royal family? I heard that there are experts in the Ling family." A man who looked like a strategist said to the leader beside him, "What's there to be afraid of? I've already investigated. The experts of the Ling family were almost completely wiped out in that encirclement. Those who survived were the elderly, the weak, the women, and the children. Don't forget that the royal family has a huge bounty on them. So many years have passed, and it hasn't changed. If we inform the royal family, we won't be able to get the bounty." The person who was called the boss had a ferocious expression. He was muscular and had a powerful aura. He was the famous Blackwind stockade master. He was lucky. One of his subordinates accidentally fell into the valley a few days ago and was saved by the Ling family members. When the other party was not paying attention, he sent the news to the stockade and attracted close to 100 people. They had already figured out the situation inside. Although there were martial artists, they were not very powerful. He was a martial artist at the peak of the 8th level of hell. He alone could wipe out the surviving members of the Ling family. Every head could be exchanged for true glory and wealth. Who would be willing to live the life of a bandit in the deep mountains? Boss, you're so wise. The Ling family members are all cowards. They stayed in the deep mountains for so many years and did not dare to take revenge. Killing these guys will be as easy as chopping vegetables. The strategist smiled flatteringly. Of course. However, I heard that they saved a woman recently. She's as beautiful as a fairy and is not weak. Be careful later. If you encounter this woman, capture her alive and make her my wife. The Black Wind Stockade Master laughed. Boss, you're so wise. That woman seems to be called Yu Fenghua. She looks like a fairy from a painting. Boss, you're so lucky. Haha, that's right. That woman is probably a disciple of a large sect. She fell into a difficult situation here. Let's have a taste and see what this noble woman tastes like. The Black Wind Stockade Master laughed crazily. However, he did not know that 2 figures in the dark had already sneaked into their group. His words were clearly heard by the 2 of them. In this world, there are some people that you can't touch. You can't even speak vulgarities. Suddenly a cold voice sounded. Chapter 2585. The sudden voice made the Black Wind Stockade's chief tremble in fear. He quickly looked in the direction of the voice. At the same time, he was ready to defend himself. He turned his head and saw 2 figures under the moonlight, a man and a woman. However, he quickly ignored the man. His gaze was fixed on the beautiful figure in white. The woman was just standing there casually, but she looked so beautiful. The beautiful scenery in the valley and even the moon in the sky paled in comparison to her. She was like an otherworldly fairy. Every frown and smile of hers was enough to captivate all living beings. The Black Wind Stockade's chief had never expected to see such a beautiful woman. For a moment, he forgot that he was still in danger. His breathing became rapid. His eyes seemed to be attracted by something. He could not take his eyes off the beautiful figure. Ling Xiao stood beside the Moon Lady and looked coldly at the Black Wind Stockade's chief. In his eyes, this person's words were the greatest blasphemy to the Moon Lady. The Moon Lady's name in this life was Yu Fenghua. She was the woman that the Black Wind Stockade's chief was talking about. According to Ling Xiao's temper, he would kill such a person without mercy. Have you seen enough? Ling Xiao's murderous intent spread from the bottom of his heart. His voice became extremely cold. Yu Fenghua was a little surprised. She found it strange that this was the first time they had met. However, there was a special sense of intimacy between them. More importantly, he cared about her so much. That kind of care was definitely not a simple act of protecting her. It was a love and tenderness that came from the bottom of his heart. Does he know me? What does that have to do with me? Yu Fenghua had more questions in her mind. Kid, it's none of your business that I'm looking at a woman. Although I don't know how you got into my team, I can spare your life since you sent such a beautiful woman over. Scram! The Black Wind Stockade's chief was in a good mood. Even his usual murderous personality had changed. He was actually going to let Ling Xiao go. Boss, this is Yu Fenghua. She's even prettier and more elegant than the person in the portrait. She's simply perfect for the valiant boss. Only a beauty like her is worthy of you. The bandits beside him did not take Ling Xiao seriously at all. They were actually trying their best to suck up to the Black Wind Stockade's chief. Ha ha ha, well said. Brat, why aren't you scramming? Could it be that you want to see your father make love to this woman? The expression of the leader of the Black Wind stronghold turned dark. He had finally decided to be merciful and let the kid go, but he did not expect the kid to refuse to leave. Perhaps you don't know, but the words you just said are enough for me to cut off your tongue." Ling Xiao's voice grew colder and colder. Yu Fenghua glanced at him and retracted her aura. She was about to attack, but now she decided to wait and see. "Aoyo, I'm so scared. Even if this beauty is your wife, you have to get out of my way today. Otherwise, you won't be able to see the sun tomorrow." The Black Wind Stockade's chief was filled with disdain and arrogance. His killing intent was gradually released. If Ling Xiao did not listen, he would immediately take action and crush the kid's head. "She's not my wife, but if you want to hurt her, I won't let you off easily. Now, before I change my mind, all of you scram. Otherwise, if I see you in the next moment, I'll kill you without mercy. My temper is not that good." The mystic world was a world of martial arts. In this world, martial strength was the greatest law. It was above the law. It was above the morals. Powerful strength could turn a great villain into a hero revered by everyone. It could also make a true hero become a villain that people despised. Calling a deer a horse was a common thing in this world. So if one hoped that the villains would be punished by the heavens, they had to give up early because they would be disappointed. If one wanted the villains to die, the only way was to become stronger. Ling Xiao was walking on this path now. All these years, the Black Wind Stockade had committed all kinds of crimes. None of the nearby villages had not been harmed by them. The merchants passing by were also in awe of them and did not dare to offend them. They would give them large amounts of spirit stones as payment for passage. But even so, as long as the Black Wind Stockade's chief was unhappy, he would still destroy the entire caravan. Logic did not work in this world. Ling Xiao understood, so he did not expect to be able to persuade the chief to leave. Only strength could make the other party fear him. "Kid, you're just a piece of trash. How dare you talk about protecting this beauty? Aren't you afraid that others will laugh their heads off? Since you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish." He suddenly waved the large saber in his hand and charged at Ling Xiao. Saber chi swept out with a majestic aura. One revolution Yin-Yang realm level 8 of hell might not be much in King Chen's eyes, but in this deep forest, it was definitely powerful. He had enough confidence that he would be able to destroy this ignorant brat. Peak Yin-Yang realm level 8 of hell. How dare you try to kill me? Ling Xiao looked coldly at the long saber coming at him. It was as if he was looking at a hemp stick that could break at any time. He gently raised his hand and pointed with a finger. Terrifying sword chi burst out from between them. At that moment, a terrifying killing intent was released from the sword chi. The Black Wind Stockade's chief's face turned from black to pale instantly. It's an insult to martial arts for a person like you to practice martial arts. Ling Xiao didn't even pull out the Ling Xiao sword. He just casually pointed his finger. In the next moment, the Black Wind Stockade's chief knelt more than 10 meters in front of him. There was a red dot between his eyebrows. His eyes were filled with fear and regret. Plop! His corpse finally fell to the ground. There was no longer any life in him. At that moment, everyone in the Black Wind Stockade felt the threat of death. Their expressions changed drastically, and they all kept quiet out of fear. This young man was too powerful. One move. No, it could not even be called one move. He had killed the Stockade Master, whom they thought to be incomparably powerful. It seemed like it was an understatement. The difference in strength between them was like heaven and earth. Resist? No, they did not even have the courage to resist. That terrifying killing intent made them feel as if a saber was placed on their necks. If they moved slightly, they would be beheaded. You said that you wanted to eliminate the remaining members of the Ling family. What's going on? Ling Xiao asked coldly. He did not retract his terrifying killing intent. Only then would these people answer his question honestly. Young hero, you must be from outside. The Wang Juling family plotted a rebellion and was exterminated by the royal family. However, there were still some who escaped in the process. Therefore, the royal family offered a huge reward. One head of the Ling family is worth 100 million low-grade spiritual stones. It also comes with a good top-grade jade martial technique. Young hero, if you want the reward, we dare not compete with you. We will leave obediently. Chapter 2586. A bunch of beasts. The killing intent in Ling Zhao's heart could no longer be contained. These people didn't even spare the old, the weak, the women, and the children. For the so-called reward, they were willing to become inhumane things. What was the point of keeping such trash alive? A burst of furious sword chi suddenly exploded in the void. It was so sharp that it seemed to be able to tear everyone's body in an instant. More than 10 people of the Black Wind Stockade were beheaded on the spot. They didn't even have the chance to scream before they died. He had originally planned to let the others go after killing the chief of the Black Wind Stockade and eradicating the chief evil. However, after hearing the dog-headed advisor's words, these people wanted to kill the old, the weak, the women, and the children. Then they would exchange them for their own glory and wealth. What was the point of keeping such things alive? Seeing this scene, the rest of the people all knelt on the ground and trembled in fear. They were terrified by Ling Zhao's terrifying sword chi. The rest of you, destroy your own cultivation and get out of here. Ling Zhao didn't kill all of them. He only killed a dozen of the leaders. The rest of them could be spared from death, but they couldn't be spared from punishment. Destroy their cultivation? The remaining dozens of people looked a little frightened. They relied on their martial arts to abuse their power. If their cultivation was destroyed, wouldn't they become ordinary people? How could they continue to make a living as bandits? I'll only give you 3 breaths of time. After that, you'll be killed without mercy. Every word of Ling Zhao was filled with biting, cold-killing intent. It was like a bone-piercing cold wind that made everyone tremble in fear. However, there were still some who were not afraid of death. Everyone, let's fight it out with him. There are so many of us. Are we afraid of him? We'd rather die than destroy our cultivation. In the crowd, a person stood up and shouted loudly. Ling Zhao looked coldly at him shouting there, but did nothing. He wanted to see who else was going to court death. That person thought that he could incite the crowd, but he found that no one responded to him. It seems that your fanning the flames is meaningless. Since you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish. Ling Zhao did not give this guy a chance to beg for mercy. He punched out across the air, and the horrifying power of lightning directly turned that guy into jerky. This was the so-called killing the chicken to warn the monkey. The others didn't dare to hesitate any longer. They all crippled their cultivation and left the valley. Let's go, Miss Fanghua. Ling Zhao said to Fanghua as he looked calmly at the fleeing bandits. He really wanted to call her big sister Moon Maiden again, but he knew that now wasn't the time. Therefore, he decided to endure it. Why do you care so much about me? Is it because of my appearance? Yu Fanghua suddenly asked. If I told you that you look exactly like the woman I once loved, would you believe me? Ling Zhao hesitated for a moment before saying what he wanted to say. He felt very uncomfortable holding these words in his heart. Yu Fanghua paused for a moment, then said, if it was someone else who said that, he would already be dead. But you, I believe you, and I will allow you to call me Fanghua in the future. But what's the name of your true love? Moon Maiden. When Ling Zhao said these 2 words, his eyes were filled with tenderness and love. What a familiar name. Yu Fanghua frowned. This was the second name that she found extremely familiar. She sighed softly and said, I envy her very much. I can see that your love for her is sincere. Hearing Yu Fenghua's words, Ling Xiao opened his mouth and almost said, You are my true love a few times. But in the end he held back. It was because he loved her, so he was afraid of scaring her away. The valley is on fire. Ling Xiao looked into the distance. A thatched hut was on fire, and he could even hear the sound of crying. It seems that there is more than one force that has found the descendants of the Wang dueling family. Ling Xiao suddenly became anxious. These people were the relatives of his good brother, Ling Yan. Although Ling Yan was not here, he still planned to save these people. He suddenly sped up a lot. Yu Fanghua also sped up. It could be seen that Yu Fanghua had been saved by these people before, so she also did not want to see the people of this village get caught. Ling Family Village. In the village square, the old, the weak, the women, and the children were all chained up with heavy shackles. The Qin Kingdom's royal family had issued a generous reward, 100 million low-grade spiritual stones for each head, plus a good top-tier jade grade martial art technique. But if the person was captured alive, the spiritual stones reward would be doubled, and the martial art technique would be upgraded to a top-tier jade grade martial art technique. So if they could capture the person alive, they would definitely choose to do so. Judging from their attire, they were definitely not the bandits from the Black Wind Stockade. They were actually wearing the formal uniforms of the Arcana Academy's disciples. But their status should be relatively low because their cultivation levels did not seem to be very high. Even so, the weakest among them was at the early stage of the 7th level of hell in the Yin-Yang realm. In the 8 Immortals County, this kind of cultivation level was definitely a top master. The difference in strength between the Imperial City and the 8 Immortals County was too big. Furthermore, the Mystic Realm Academy didn't even bother to hide their actions. They openly wore their own disciples' attire and came to arrest people. It seemed like the royal family of the capital's Ling family was deeply afraid of them. Ling Xiao did not have a good impression of the Arcana Academy before he joined it. It seemed that they were just the dogs of the Chun Kingdom's royal family. Fortunately, he only went there to cultivate. Otherwise, he would be disgusted to see these people every day. Ha ha ha! I didn't expect the Ling village to be in such a secretive place. If not for our people in the Black Wind Stockade, it would have been difficult to find them. In the crowd, a well-dressed young man laughed loudly. He was not old. He looked less than 20 years old, but his cultivation level was at the early stage of the 8th level of hell in the Yin-Yang realm. His arrogant laughter showed his cruelty and indifference. Under his feet lay a corpse that was not completely cold. It was a little girl less than 7 years old. He had actually stomped her to death. The reason was that this little girl was not a member of the Ling family. She was an orphan taken in from outside and could not be exchanged for the bounty. He was not the only one. The other warriors of the Arcana Academy were doing the same thing. Most of these people were relatively young. Basically, they were between 17 and 26 years old. Only a few of them were slightly older, and their strength was relatively stronger. Logically speaking, they were well-dressed and should not be short of money, but they still did not care about the lives of others for the bounty. After all, these people were the people that the Wang Juling family had risked their lives to protect back then. The Wang Juling family, which was Ling Yan's family, had risked their lives to defend the Qin Kingdom against the Volcano Kingdom. If not for them, the Chun Kingdom's defense line would have fallen, and these people would have died. Unfortunately, even the Ling family did not know that they had saved a bunch of dogs who were worse than beasts. Chapter 2587. 2 silhouettes suddenly appeared in the village. One of them was a handsome young man with a gloomy face. His eyes were filled with killing intent. The other person was as beautiful as a fairy. His face was as cold as frost, and his eyes were cold. Both of them were filled with anger and strong killing intent. Feng Hua, don't move. Leave it to me to get your hands dirty. Ling Xiao knew that Yu Fenghua was going to make a move, but he didn't think it was necessary. He let the little devil girl out. Today he was going to kill. Yu Fenghua was stunned for a moment. She immediately said, I don't want to see anyone get hurt. If you can't do it, I'll do it. She was indebted to the people of the Ling village. Naturally, she couldn't just watch them get hurt. Of course. After saying that, Ling Zhao's figure flashed. Like a giant wolf, he pounced on the Arcana Academy disciple closest to him. In order to be safer in the capital, he put on a ferocious mask. The mask was like a demon. Anyone who saw it would tremble. It had an evil aura. Yu Fenghua also put on a black veil and a bamboo hat to seal her beautiful face. She seemed to know that her peerless Fenghua would cause a lot of trouble. In the village, the Arcana Academy disciple who was laughing crazily suddenly felt a dangerous aura. Ling Xiao didn't hide his aura at all. The little devil girl was looking for a target in the sky, ready to make a move at any time, while he pounced on the enemy on the ground. "Kid, who are you? How dare you steal business from the Arcana Academy?" The Arcana Academy disciple saw Ling Xiao, who turned into a wolf. However, they seemed to have misunderstood. They believed that no madman would come to save the village that offended the Chen Kingdom's royal family. In their opinion, Ling Xiao was just an idiot who stole business from them. Ling Xiao didn't say anything. A white jade flying dragon sword appeared in his hand. The sword light was released, and a white dragon broke through the sky. In an instant, the Arcana Academy disciple, who was at the early phase of the 8th level of the Yin Yang realm, was killed on the spot. The corpse fell beside the little girl he had killed. "Kid, don't go too far. How dare you kill someone from the Arcana Academy? Do you want to die?" Ling Xiao's actions had obviously angered the people of Arcana Academy. One of them was already thrusting his sword over. His speed was extremely fast, and the tip of his sword was also extremely sharp. Unfortunately, his opponent was Ling Xiao. He was a true expert in using the sword. "You don't deserve to use a sword." Ling Xiao's cold voice rang out. Beneath his ferocious mask, his eyes were cold and merciless. He thrust out his sword. The whistling sword light pierced through the man's throat. "Arcana Academy? So what? Even if you are from the Chen Kingdom's royal family, I will still kill you." Ling Xiao's voice was filled with desolation, grief, and indignation. Although these people didn't kill his family members, neither did they deal with his family members. He couldn't tolerate this kind of behavior. Moreover, the people of the Ling family village were the family of his good friend and the saviors of his woman. If he couldn't even save these people, then what was the point of him cultivating martial arts? Anger stimulated the infinite power in his body. The cultivation that was about to break through finally opened the door for him. The cultivation of the 8th level of hell in Yin Yang realm. At this level, no one below the 8th level of hell could be his match. He could even fight a warrior at the early stage of the 9th level of hell in Yin Yang realm. If he performed well, he could even defeat him. As Ling Xiao spoke, he stepped forward like a wolf. Another life was buried under the cold sword light. The sword rose. People died. He didn't waste any more words. These people in front of him all deserved to die. He would kill all of them. No one would be wronged. This guy is crazy. Does he want to kill everyone from the Arcana Academy? Who is he? How dare he make an enemy of the Arcana Academy? The disciples of the Arcana Academy finally panicked. They were only the lowest level disciples of the Arcana Academy. Although their cultivation was high, they didn't have much combat experience. It was fun to kill the weak and weak. However, they didn't know how to do anything when facing a truly terrifying opponent. The answer to these people was a sword light. Following that, another person was killed. "Who are you? Do you really want to make an enemy of the Arcana Academy?" 3 disciples of the Arcana Academy blocked Ling Xiao at the same time. However, the answer to them was still a sword light. Without any explanation, the 3 people were beheaded at the same time. Ling Xiao's sword didn't stop. He was still killing. The disciples of the Arcana Academy gradually felt that something was wrong. They stopped what they were doing and gathered around Ling Xiao. They were ready to surround and kill Ling Xiao. "Everyone, let's work together to kill this monster. I want to see who he is, and how dare he be so arrogant." Ling Xiao's face was still indifferent. At this moment, the little devil still didn't make a move, because it was unnecessary. Ling Xiao, who had just broken through, was like a beast that had just stepped into a flock of sheep. His sword was like the scythe of the god of death, crazily harvesting the lives of these beasts. None of the beasts that were hit by his sword light were seriously injured, because they were all dead. Kill! The disciples of the Arcana Academy finally attacked together. They knew that their opponent was very strong. If they continued to watch, they would only be defeated one by one. Therefore, they had no choice but to join forces. However, what greeted them was an even more powerful attack. The seventh profound meaning of light sword realm. The seventh profound meaning of darkness, dark sword realm. Even if he was furious, Ling Shao calmly chose to use his previous moves to deal with these beasts. This was because once he used the martial arts cultivated in the Black Tortoise continent, he would be recognized very quickly when he arrived in the imperial city. Moreover, the power of the light and shadow profound meaning was definitely not weaker than his current strongest move. The two sword realms were activated. The black sword light and the white sword light intertwined and blasted into the crowd like a storm. However, these sword lights seemed to have eyes and just happened to avoid the people of the Ling family village. They only attacked the warriors of the Arcana Academy. In just a moment, a group of warriors of the Arcana Academy who were rushing towards Ling Shao were all frozen in place. Everyone's eyes were filled with shock and fear. Their throats, heads, and hearts were almost all pierced. Everyone could feel that death was approaching them faster and faster. Devil, we don't want these people. We'll give them all to you. Please spare us. So what if they were disciples of the Arcana Academy? Just a moment ago, they were high and mighty. Now, in order to survive, they had to beg Ling Shao for mercy. This was the reality brought about by great strength. Who is so bold to attack the disciples of the Arcana Academy? A few people suddenly came out from a thatched house. Chapter 2588. Ling Shao looked at the man whose clothes were disheveled. He looked handsome and elegant, and his clothes were bright. However, such a handsome man actually did such a beastly thing. Ling Shao felt even more disgusted by him. Bastard, what are you doing? The beast was filled with anger and killing intent as it shouted at Ling Shao. Gu Mingyu, quick, come and save us. This person is crazy. There were still a few people alive under the sword domain. They shouted at the beast for help. Gu Mingyu smiled and said, Don't worry. Since I'm here, I won't let anything happen to you. Kid, listen carefully. I'm Gu Mingyu, a disciple of the Arcana Academy. I'm at the peak of the 8th level of the Yin-Yang realm. My father is Marquis Gu Tianba. He was the one who exposed the traitor Ling's rebellion. He abandoned the darkness for the light and severed all ties with the traitor Ling. Now he's favored by the king and is the commander of the imperial capital's city defense camp. If you dare to attack me, you can forget about living in the Chen nation. Gu Tianba? Ling Shao had heard this name from Lin Ruoxian. This person was the sworn brother of Ling Yan's father, Marquis Ling. Later, he betrayed his friend for glory. He colluded with the 13th prince and others to frame Marquis Ling's family. His entire family was almost executed. He was clearly a shameless person, blinded by greed. Marquis Ling was Ling Zhao's good brother and Ling Yan's father. Even if he was nothing, such a loyal person was harmed by a despicable person. With Ling Zhao's temper, he would definitely not let this despicable person go. Since the despicable person's son had appeared, and he was clearly the son of a beast, it was clear what he should do. Gu Mingyu looked to be only 18 or 19 years old, but his talent was quite good. Coupled with his father's status, his strength was naturally not too weak. It was already very impressive for him to reach the peak of the 8th level of the Yin-Yang realm. Unfortunately for him, he had encountered Ling Shao. Although he had never been to the capital city, he was much stronger than the lowest-ranked geniuses there. Gu Mingyu, Gu Tianba's son. How impressive. Is this how your beastly father taught you to behave? Ling Xiao looked at Gu Mingyu coldly, thinking about how to make this beast die a more painful death. This kind of person liked to build their happiness on the pain of others the most. If he wanted to kill such a person, he would have to let him taste pain. What? You dare to scold me? The smile on Gu Mingyu's face suddenly turned dark. The joy of tasting the tender meat just now had already been burned by Ling Xiao's offensive tone. So what if I scold you? I still want to kill you. Ling Xiao suddenly raised his hand, and the remaining beasts were killed on the spot by Ling Xiao. Moreover, he did it in front of Gu Mingyu. Didn't you say that as long as you were around, they would be fine? Now that they are dead, you will follow in their footsteps. Ling Xiao raised his foot and walked in the direction of Gu Mingyu. Was he going to let such a beast continue to harm others? Others might be afraid of dirtying their hands, but Ling Xiao was not. You, who are you? Are you Thief Ling's old subordinate? Gu Mingyu sensed the terrifying killing intent from Ling Xiao and trembled in fear. That terrifying killing intent was definitely not something that a playboy like him could withstand. It was too terrifying. It was as if countless steel needles were piercing his body, making him feel the stinging pain and the approach of death. Gu Tianba is a beast. You are also a beast. Don't worry, after killing you, I will kill your beastly father as well. In the past, your beastly father betrayed his friends for glory. He should have known that one day, someone would cut off his head to worship his loyal soul. No, who are you? Don't kill me. I can let you enjoy endless glory and wealth. Gu Mingyu was scared. He was really scared. Of course, his arrogance just now was gone. He looked at Ling Xiao's ferocious mask in fear, feeling as if the Ling family had walked out of hell to take his life. Let you go? When you insulted that pitiful and innocent girl just now, did you think about letting her go first? What did she do to be tarnished by a beast like you? Ling Xiao continued to walk forward. His terrifying killing intent completely enveloped Gu Mingyu and the two people beside him. The three of them were all warriors of level 8 of hell in Yinyang realm. But now, facing Ling Xiao, they did not even have the courage to resist. It was not that they did not want to resist, but that they could not. Ling Xiao's killing intent made them shiver like pitiful birds in the cold wind. No, I don't want to die. However, Gu Mingyu's words could not affect Ling Xiao's decision. He raised his sword and the sword essence spat out. The sword light flashed, as dazzling as the punishment from heaven. Ah! Shrill screams resounded in the night sky. The three of them did not die, but there was a piercing, cold pain in their crotch. That kind of pain made them wish they were dead. The three of them fell to the ground, screaming crazily and rolling around. Ling Xiao did not kill them immediately. Instead, he castrated them. Since they had done that kind of thing, they deserved to suffer this little pain. But after a while, the three of them stopped breathing. What a bunch of trash. They died so easily. How dare they be so tyrannical? Ling Xiao had no sympathy for the three of them. They deserved to die, and they had to die. Otherwise, how could those who died unjustly rest in peace? The Ling family village was quiet again. All the Arcana Academy disciples who came to capture the Ling family members were killed by Ling Xiao. From the beginning to the end, the little demonist did not make a move. Ling Xiao killed dozens of Arcana Academy disciples by himself, although these people were the most useless ones in the Arcana Academy. This scene shocked the people of the Ling family village. Countless young men and women looked at him with eyes full of worship and respect. They also wanted to be as strong as Ling Xiao. Only then could they protect themselves and their families. Otherwise, even if they did not want to take revenge, there would be people who would find trouble with them and take their heads. This was the cruel law of the mysterious world. The weak were bullied and oppressed. They could die at any time, and they could not even choose how they died. The strong were fearless between heaven and earth. Once they were angry, they could make rivers of blood flow and destroy cities. No one dared to bully them. They wanted to be stronger. Ling Xiao also wanted to be stronger. Today he had to wear this ugly mask because he was not strong enough and did not dare to reveal his identity. He did not dare to use his sky tyrant martial spirit. He did not even dare to be too ostentatious in the royal city. He had to keep a low profile. He had to pretend to be a pig to eat a tiger, but this was not what he wanted. Why would a good person pretend to be a pig? In the end, it was because he was not strong enough. If he was strong enough, he could get whatever he wanted to eat. Phew! Phew! Chapter 2589. The sky was turning white, and the Ling family village was gradually brightening up under the sunlight. Suddenly, a terrifying whistling sound came from the sky, and the sound was getting louder and louder. Ling Xiao's brows furrowed tightly. He looked at the sky and saw a large group of war eagles flying towards them from afar. On top of the war eagle, there were soldiers in armor. The Chun Kingdom's War Eagle Army. Ling Xiao had heard about the War Eagle Army. Ever since Marquis Ling died in battle, the Chun Kingdom had been invaded by the Volcano Kingdom and lost a large part of its territory, until a person appeared out of nowhere. This person was the Chun Kingdom's 7th Prince, Qin Kangmeng. He was known as the War Eagle Divine General. He had forcefully taken back the territory that the Volcano Nation had taken away piece by piece, establishing an unparalleled military merit. However, although Chun Kangmeng was powerful, he was too straightforward and had a very close relationship with Marquis Ling. It was said that when he was young, Marquis Ling had saved his life. He and Ling Yan had been through life and death together. Therefore, he had written many petitions, hoping that the King of Chun would reopen the Ling family's rebellion case. Because of this, he was hated by the King of Qin. Although he had made great contributions, he was still an unfavored prince. He was not even a one-star prince. Could it be Qin Kangmeng? Ling Xiao looked at Yufeng Hua and said, "Feng Hua, you and the villagers should hide behind me. If it's an enemy, you should leave first. I will hold them back. If it's a friend, that would be best." Yufeng Hua wanted to say, "What right do you have to order me around?" But when the words reached her mouth, they turned into an mm. She did not know why she was so obedient to this young man. It was not like her at all. That's ridiculous. Yufeng Hua shook her head, but still did as Ling Xiao said. The War Eagles finally landed. On the majestic War Eagles, there were soldiers in black armor. They looked very valiant. The leader was a golden War Eagle. On top of the War Eagle was a handsome young man who looked to be less than 20 years old. However, the aura he released made even Ling Xiao feel fear. This bastard is probably even stronger than Chun Kangmeng. This was Ling Xiao's first thought. The man jumped off the warhawk and looked at the mess on the ground. He suddenly asked, "Did you kill him?" His voice was indifferent and emotionless. No one could guess why he asked this. "That's right." Ling Xiao replied calmly, "Well done. You're a beast in human clothing. Everyone has the right to punish you." The young man suddenly said loudly, "My name is Qin Kangmeng. Fellow villagers, do not panic. Marquis Ling had saved this king's life in the past. This king will definitely not watch as his descendant dies tragically." It was indeed Qin Kangmeng. Ling Xiao heaved a sigh of relief. If there was anyone in the Chun royal family who dared to sympathize with the Ling family, or even openly help them, it would be Qin Kangmeng. Hearing Chun Kangmeng's name, everyone in the Ling family village seemed to be overjoyed. That was a true sense of relief. Although they had spent many years in this valley, they were not completely unaware of what had happened outside. They knew what Qin Kangmeng had done, and they were very grateful. For their sake, this prince had gone against the king of Qin. He had repeatedly performed meritorious deeds, but had never received a single reward. He could not even return to the capital, and could only constantly fight outside. When he was injured, he did not receive a word of concern from the king of Qin. Even his own mother had been neglected by the king of Qin because of him. She had originally been a noble consort, but had been demoted to a virtuous consort and then a concubine. The eunuchs and maids in the palace would not even look at his mother properly. Even so, the mother and son had not forgotten the kindness the Ling family had shown them. They were still the only royal family in the Chen kingdom who dared to trust the Ling family. If you're here to protect them, you're too late, Ling Shao said coldly. If he had not accidentally met the Moon Maiden and come here, all the villagers would have been taken away by the Arcana Academy. Thus, he was still somewhat dissatisfied with this Chen Kangming. Yes, I'm too late. He looked at the corpses of the villagers on the ground, and at the tragic appearance of the humiliated woman after committing suicide. True sorrow appeared in Chen Kangming's eyes. He knelt on one knee and hugged the pitiful woman, unable to calm down for a long time. Behind him, the hundreds of soldiers of the War Eagle army turned over and knelt on one knee behind him, grieving for their prince. They grieved for the people of the Ling family. This Chen Kangming is indeed very good at commanding an army. These people look at him not only with loyalty, but also with brotherly love. No wonder he's called the Warhawk, Divine General. No wonder he's invincible. Although Ling Shao was a little resentful of Chen Kangming, he had to admit that he was an outstanding person. In particular, his desire to repay the Ling family's kindness shocked him. Ordinary people simply couldn't do this to this extent. Even if they sympathized with the Ling family, they would bury it in their hearts and not show it. But this person was different. Not only did he show it, he showed it very clearly. Rather break than bend. Perhaps this kind of hero was best described. Pass down my orders. Bury the souls of the deceased and throw the corpses into the forest to feed the wild beasts. Chen Kangming gently placed the girl's body on the ground and covered her body with his cloak. If this action had been done by Jihyun of Silla or Qin Kanglin, it would have been full of hypocrisy and pretentiousness. But Chen Kangming's action was so natural, without the slightest hint of pretense or hypocrisy, because he was that kind of person. He had always done that. This person really was not scheming. Yes, sir. The Warhawk army obeyed orders and was strictly disciplined. It would not be an exaggeration to call them an iron army. They all began to move. Chen Kangming looked back at Ling Shao and said, "Young hero, I'm afraid this place is no longer a secret. I reckon that there will be people coming to encircle and annihilate them soon. So, young hero, you should leave first. I will arrange for the people of the Ling family to go to a safe place." To where? Although Ling Shao admired Chen Kangming, it did not mean that he trusted him. Ling Shao would always be suspicious of anyone. After all, this was the first time they had met. He did not want the people of the Ling family to enter the tiger's den because of his carelessness. I have a fief. It's a county city. They should be able to live well there. Chen Kangming was stunned. Although he felt that there was no need to tell Ling Shao about this, he still said it. Perhaps it was out of gratitude to Ling Shao for saving the Ling family. Your Highness is on good terms with the Ling family. There must be countless eyes watching you. If they follow you, I'm afraid that not only will they die, but your Highness will also be implicated. I do have a good place to go, Ling Shao said. Chen Kangming also knew that Ling Shao was not lying, but because there was no better place to go, he had to do this. Chapter 2590. Where? Chen Kangming asked. Where is the safest place to send those people? The Eight Immortals County, Ling Shao said indifferently. No, that used to be 13th Brothers territory. I heard that second brother took it over and even supported a young genius to become the Lord. Wouldn't we be sending ourselves to our deaths there? Chen Kangming shook his head. Ling Shao took off the ferocious mask on his face and looked calmly at Chen Kangming. I am that overlord Ling Shao. He decided to take a gamble. Chen Kangming would not betray him. All signs showed that Chen Kangmeng was a loyal person who would not easily betray a friend, or a friend's benefactor. Ling Xiao had saved the Ling family village. How could he repay kindness with enmity? Of course, Ling Xiao was not completely confident, so he said he was taking a gamble. Chen Kangmeng was somewhat surprised and shocked. It was rare for such a young lord to have such great courage. "Aren't you afraid that I'll kill you, or hand you over to second brother?" Chen Kangmeng asked. "Of course not." Ling Xiao shook his head. "First, you won't do that. Second, even if you do, you won't succeed. I don't have any good points, but I'm still very confident. Indeed, I won't do that." Chen Kangmeng shook his head. "But what I don't understand is, as second brother's man, why are you helping these people? Who told you that I'm Chen Kanglin's man? That's what the outside world says. Is what the outside world says the truth?" Ling Xiao looked at Chen Kangmeng, a faint smile on his face. "If I had to choose a prince to support, it would not be Chen Kanglin of Jihyun of Silla, but you, Warhawk God Chen Kangmeng. Me? I'm just a prefectural king with no power in the court. Even my mother can only see her once a month. You support me? I'm afraid I'll disappoint you. Moreover, I have no intention of participating in the court's struggles for power." Chen Kangmeng shook his head. "Then are you willing to let the Ling family's injustice never be avenged? Aren't you afraid that once Chen Kanglin or Chen Songxiong takes the throne, you and your mother will be killed? Don't say that it's impossible. You Kangmeng, you know this." Ling Xiao looked at Chen Kangmeng indifferently and said, "Enough. Whether you fight for the throne or not, what does that have to do with me?" He shrugged and said nonchalantly, "You're only at the late stage of the 8th level of hell in the first revolution of the Yinyang realm. There are plenty of people like you in the royal capital. Why would you help me fight for the throne?" Because I will soon become the strongest person in the royal city." Ling Xiao smiled. "Are you dreaming?" Chen Kangmeng felt that the young man in front of him was crazy. "If you can raise your cultivation to the 10th level of the Yinyang realm within a year, I will believe you. I don't need you to be the strongest. At that time, I'll do whatever you want me to do, even if you treat me like a puppet. I only want the Ling family's injustice to be avenged. I only want my mother and son to be safe." Chen Kangmeng said. "1 year? Okay, then it's decided." Ling Xiao nodded. "Since that's the case, let's begin the migration. This king will personally escort these people to the 8 Immortal City." Chen Kangmeng changed the topic. Ling Xiao nodded. "I don't know when the enemy will come, so I'll stay here to help. Although your War Eagle army is powerful, it's too conspicuous. When you escort these people, it's best if you don't bring them with you. Just bring a few elites with you. As long as you're not discovered, you'll be safe. And I'll stay here to buy time for you. Let the War Eagle army accompany you." Chen Kangmeng completely agreed with Ling Xiao's point of view. The two didn't delay and went to prepare for the migration. The people of the Ling family village didn't want to stay in the mountains forever, especially after seeing Ling Xiao kill the disciples of the Arcana Academy. Those young children wanted to become stronger. Even if they couldn't take revenge, they wanted to be able to protect themselves and their families. Boom! Suddenly, a terrifying roar came from not far away, and the whole ground shook. This sound shocked Ling Xiao and the War Eagle army. But, strangely, the local villagers didn't have any reaction. According to the villagers, it was the sound of the volcano. About 1 mile away from here, such sounds are often heard, and there was lava spewing out. But it wasn't too serious, so they were used to it. Could it be the demon beasts? Ling Xiao looked into the distance and seemed to see a demon aura. "Your Highness, you go ahead. I'll go take a look at the volcano over there." After leaving the 8 Immortal City, Ling Xiao was very satisfied with many things, but he still couldn't upgrade his lava battle body to the highest level. This made him feel very troubled. If there were any treasures or demon beasts in the volcano, there might be a chance for a change. He didn't want to miss the opportunity. Okay. Chen Kangming nodded and said, "Be careful. The demon beasts here are not to be trifled with." Anyway, it was just dawn and there was no danger. A wave of enemies had just been destroyed. If there was an attack on the Ling family village, it wouldn't have been so fast. So, it didn't matter if Ling Xiao left for a while. Ling Xiao went towards the volcano, and Yu Fenghua followed behind him. "It's dangerous there," Ling Xiao said with a frown. "It's precisely because it's dangerous that I want to follow. You're a good person. It's a pity if you die," Yu Fenghua said lightly. "Okay, up to you." It felt good to be cared for by someone, especially by the person who cared for him deeply. Ling Xiao didn't know how strong Yu Fenghua was, but she shouldn't be too weak. After all, she was thrown into the western mountain range, where demon beasts roamed. She was only injured and not killed. It was unrealistic if she wasn't strong enough. The two of them arrived at the peak of the volcano. Within the volcano, there was boiling magma flowing unceasingly. There was a strange aura coming from the volcano. They didn't know if it was a demon beast or some kind of treasure. "Fenghua, wait outside. I'll go down and take a look." Ling Xiao had the lava battle body, and it was a high-level one at that. He believed that the lava wouldn't be able to harm him. Therefore, it shouldn't be a problem for him to go down and explore. "Don't die," Yu Fenghua said lightly. Although her words were cold, it was obvious that she cared about him. He didn't expect Yu Fenghua to be so arrogant, even after reincarnating. "Don't worry, I won't die." Ling Xiao smiled and plunged into the boiling lava. What he didn't say was, "If I die, who will protect you forever?" The temperature of the lava here was very high. Ling Xiao could still feel his body heating up, even with his advanced lava battle body. But fortunately, it was just heat and he wouldn't get hurt. Chapter 2591. It was a pity that the strengthening effect of the lava energy on Ling Xiao was only quantitative. If he wanted a qualitative change and a breakthrough in his lava battle body, he would need something else. If a top-level lightning battle body required thunder chalcedony, would a top-level lava battle body require lava chalcedony as well? The lava flowed from the top of the mountain to the bottom. It was a few hundred meters deep. An ordinary person would have suffocated to death by now. Only Ling Xiao, this fellow who had many body refinement techniques, could live well. The bottom of the volcano was extremely wide. There was a river of lava. A huge dog-type beast was sleeping in the river of lava. It was at least 7 to 8 meters tall and more than 10 meters long. The surface of its body seemed to be formed by lava, and it even had 3 heads. Each head was spitting out boiling lava. The lava dripped onto the ground and melted it immediately. What a powerful beast! It must be a 1-star Yin-Yang realm level 9 hell. I'm no match for it. Ling Xiao didn't attack rashly because he found the 3-headed lava hound sleeping in the lava. There was indeed a piece of fiery red jade near the huge 3-headed lava hound. Ling Xiao had seen thunder chalcedony before, so he knew it must be lava chalcedony. Although Ling Xiao wasn't a match for the 3-headed lava hound, he had to get the lava chalcedony. Ghost wolf. Ling Xiao turned into a ghost wolf and quietly approached the 3-headed lava hound. Since he couldn't defeat it, he might as well steal it. The 3-headed lava hound shouldn't be able to detect him in his ghost wolf form. The danger would come when he snatched the lava chalcedony. That was because he had to return to his physical form. If the 3-headed lava hound sensed him at such a close distance, he would be in deep trouble. However, Ling Xiao liked to take risks. He didn't want to give up the opportunity in front of him. He went to the lava chalcedony in his ghost wolf form and turned into a lava wolf in an instant. He swallowed the lava chalcedony into his stomach. At this moment, the terrifying 3-headed lava hound opened its huge eyes. It looked at him coldly. At that moment, Ling Xiao was already prepared to have a big fight with this guy. He was extremely nervous. It was definitely an accident that he was discovered. But since he was discovered, he had to be prepared to fight. He couldn't do anything about the sudden increase in pressure. But what made him feel strange was that the three-headed lava hound merely glanced at him before closing its eyes and falling asleep again. Ling Xiao didn't know why. He only knew that he was lucky enough to survive. He immediately transformed into his ghost wolf form and distanced himself from the terrifying lava Cerberus. Could it be that my lava wolf form made it mistake me for one of its kind, so it didn't attack? When he reached the outside of the volcano, he suddenly understood chalcedony, although it was unbelievable. A chalcedony, chalcedony, chalcedony. A fragrant wind drifted over. Yu Fenghua wrapped one of her satin ribbons around Ling Xiao's body and pulled Ling Xiao over. "Thank you. I might have indigestion." Ling Xiao smiled bitterly. He swallowed the lava chalcedony just now in order to get it. That terrifying energy had exploded within his body, which was why that scene had occurred. He still felt piercing pain all over his body, as if his insides were being burned. Without thinking much, Ling Xiao sat down cross-legged and started cultivating. He had to absorb the energy of the lava chalcedony as soon as possible. Otherwise, he would really be burned to death. If he was burned to death, that would be hilarious. A martial artist who cultivated the lava combat body was burned to death by lava. If word got out, people would laugh their heads off. Yu Fenghua could have ignored him and left. But she didn't. She stood there, facing the morning glow, watching the rising sun, quietly waiting for Ling Xiao. With the Moon Maiden by his side, Ling Xiao was completely at ease. He closed his eyes and cultivated, with the experience of fusing with the sky, thunder chalcedony. This lava chalcedony wasn't that difficult. It was just following the prescribed order. About an hour later, the sun had completely risen. Ling Xiao suddenly opened his eyes. A layer of perfect lava armor formed all over his body. The fiery armor was very similar to the shell of the lava Cerberus, but it was even more beautiful. Top-level lava combat body. It's finally realized, and I'm lucky enough to have a breakthrough in my cultivation. I'm now a martial artist at the peak of level 8 of the Yinyang realm. Ling Xiao was in a good mood. An increase in cultivation and strength was better than anything else. "You've been accompanying me all this time?" Ling Xiao looked at Yu Fenghua, who was still standing at the side. He was a little surprised. "Don't flatter yourself. I'm just admiring the scenery," Yu Fenghua said lightly. Yes, yes, yes. You're admiring the scenery. But I'm going back. What do you plan to do?" Ling Xiao smiled. Yu Fenghua didn't smile much and was very similar to the Moon Maiden in the past. But Ling Xiao felt that this was more real. This was his woman. "If you can go back, so can I," Yu Fenghua said. "Then let's go together." Ling Xiao shook his head and smiled bitterly. Then he headed towards the Ling family village. When he arrived at the village, the villagers had already set off. These people didn't have much fighting power. They would be a burden if they stayed. So even though many of them wanted to stay and fight, they were mercilessly scolded away by Ling Xiao. "Actually, you don't have to make it sound so bad." Qin Kangmeng smiled bitterly and said, "You should know that they have good intentions." "Of course I know. It's precisely because I know that I don't want them to die for no reason." Ling Xiao sighed and said, "Seventh Highness, although it's theoretically safe to go to the 8 Immortal City, it's not guaranteed. But once you enter the 8 Immortal City, there will be someone to receive you. An hour ago, I had the puppet carrier pigeon send a message. I'll be careful. You must take care. I hope we can meet again in the royal capital." Chen Kangmeng said. "You take care as well." Ling Xiao nodded. The two smiled at each other and then went their separate ways. But with Chen Kangmeng's departure, the remaining War Eagle army encountered some trouble. Chen Kangmeng ordered the War Eagle army to listen to Ling Xiao's orders. In truth, the majority of them were unconvinced. Some were unconvinced but they understood that military orders were like mountains. They were willing to bury their dissatisfaction and listen to Ling Zhao's orders. But there were also some who were unwilling. One of them was the centurion of the War Eagle Army, Lai Huang. This time, Qin Kangmeng had brought with him 2 deputies, 1 centurion and 10 Dakarches. The 2 deputies were escorting the villagers of the Ling family village. Chapter 2592. You can't fight. You're not as strong as me, so you have to listen to me. Lai Huang's cultivation was indeed stronger than Ling Zhao's. He was at the early stage of 9th level of hell. This guy was only a centurion, but he was already so strong. What kind of monsters were in Qin Kangmeng's army? No wonder they were always victorious. Is that so? But your highness asked you to listen to me. Ling Xiao looked at Lai Huang and said, "You should know the consequences of not following orders, right? Don't scare me. I only listen to His Highness. Who do you think you are?" Lai Huang didn't take Ling Xiao seriously at all. As for the military order that Ling Xiao gave him, he found it laughable. "I'll tell you now. Who do I think I am? Little devil girl." He suddenly waved his hand. Little devil girl suddenly jumped out from behind Ling Xiao and attacked Lai Huang. Lai Huang originally thought that little devil girl was just a little girl and didn't want to be ruthless, so he went easy on her. But after 2 or 3 moves, he suddenly felt that something was wrong. His opponent was ridiculously strong. If he were to show mercy, he would probably lose his life in the end. Therefore, the following attacks suddenly became ferocious. But even though Lai Huang used all his strength, he was still stepped on by little devil girl in the 10th move. No matter how hard he struggled, he couldn't stand up. Being stepped on by a 7 or 8-year-old girl was like being pressed down by a mountain. "Do you admit defeat?" Ling Xiao asked coldly. "I admit defeat." Lai Huang was a simple guy. He only worshipped the strong. Back when the 7th prince, Qin Kangmeng, had subdued him, he had defeated him and made him pledge his loyalty. Of course, once this guy swore loyalty to someone, his loyalty was very high. It's good that you admit defeat. According to the military rules, you should be killed. But we still need you to lead the War Eagle Army to delay the enemy. You should atone for your mistakes. Ling Xiao said coldly. "Yes, sir." Little devil girl jumped away. Lai Huang finally crawled up and knelt on one knee. "All right, let's start preparing the fortifications. I can feel killing intent coming from afar." Ling Xiao looked into the distance. The army that came to attack the Ling family village was actually the Eagle Army, that was as famous as the War Eagle Army. The Eagle Troop was under the 14th Prince's command. The 14th Prince was also a talented general. However, his reputation in the army was the flying eagle killing god. He would never leave a single one of the armies he defeated alive. The 14th Prince's contributions were not as great as Qin Kangmeng's, but he was now the only 9-star prince who could be mentioned in the same breath as Ji Hyun of Silla and Qin Kanglin. Of course, in Ling Zhao's Taiji eyes, not many people had come from the Eagle Army. There were about 100 of them. It was under the command of a deputy general. In addition to the 100-man Eagle Army, there were also the 1,000-man Imperial City Garrison Army. The strength of the Garrison Army was much weaker than the Eagle Army and the War Eagle Army. The strongest was only at the peak of Yinyang Realm's 8th level of hell. The weaker ones were more chaotic. There were transition martial artists and a large number of ordinary martial artists. However, they won in numbers. Moreover, an army was an army. They were much more powerful than the bandits from the Black Wind Stockade. If the War Eagle Army was not there, Ling Xiao alone would not be able to stop them. Soon, there were whistling sounds in the sky. The rumbling sounds in the forest were getting closer. The demonic beasts in the vicinity had already fled to other places because of the dangerous aura. Get ready to fight the enemy. Don't let them find out that the villagers have left. Therefore, the enemy must not enter the village. Ling Xiao said loudly. If the enemy did not enter the village, they would not find out that the villagers had left 2 hours ago. At this time, they were probably very far away. Yes. After witnessing the little demoness easily subduing Lai Huang, the soldiers of the War Eagle army were obviously more obedient to Ling Shao. However, Lai Huang was actually not convinced in his heart. Although he said he was convinced, he thought that Ling Shao was only relying on the strength of the little demoness. Although he could not disobey Ling Zhao's orders, he planned to compete with Ling Shao in this battle to see who could kill more enemies. However, he did not dare to say this out loud. If Ling Shao really wanted to kill him, he would not be able to do anything. After all, he was no match for the little demoness. They're close. Hundreds of soldiers from the War Eagle army looked forward without any fear. The War Eagle army had always been successful. Why would they be afraid of the Eagle army? However, there were many enemies. It would be difficult to prevent them from entering the village. The Eagle army in the sky was already close to the village, but they did not rush in. The thousands of people on the ground surrounded the village. From this, it could be seen that these people had discovered the War Eagle army. Therefore, they did not act rashly. Even so, the Eagle army was still very arrogant. Flying in such an obvious place, they were simply living targets. Their arrogance was not without reason. The martial artists in the War Eagle army that Chun Kangming had brought were generally at the 7th level of the Yin Yang realm. Only 10 sergeants had reached the 8th level of the Yin Yang realm. However, everyone in the Eagle army was at least at the 8th level of the Yin Yang realm. The deputy was at the middle stage of the 9th level of the Yin Yang realm. The centurion was at the same level as him, but slightly weaker. It could be said that the Eagle army's overall strength was absolutely superior to the War Eagle army. Although the War Eagle army was not afraid, the truth was the truth. The difference was the difference. In the Eagle army, the deputy general stood on a gigantic eagle and shouted, "People of the village, listen up! Surrender quickly, and you can still leave behind a complete corpse. Otherwise, all of you will be killed and torn apart by 5 horses. People of the War Eagle army, you better not resist. The king has ordered that the remnants of the Ling family must be eradicated. Do you dare to rebel? Nonsense. The Ling family village is empty. The 7th prince is resting here. Do you dare to harm him?" Lai Huang scolded loudly. "The 7th prince? Ha! If the 7th prince wants to work with those traitors, so what if we kill him? He is just a commandery prince. Even if he dies, the king will not feel sorry." The deputy sneered. "You are courting death." Lai Huang roared. "Although I want to kill you, you are not worthy with your strength. I have other matters to attend to, so I will not accompany you." The deputy Ling Shao said, and then headed towards the volcano with the centurion. Before leaving, he gave an order to a martial artist at the 9th level of the Yin Yang realm. "Kill without mercy." It seems that those two came for the lava chalcedony. But what will their expressions be when they see that the lava chalcedony is gone? Chapter 2593. Ling Shao suddenly leaped into the air and floated in midair. Lava flowed all over his body and flames surged. His hands formed a strange seal as the terrifying lava power gathered between his hands. Then, with a roar, he threw out the lava power. Lava storm! This was the first time he used lava storm after reaching the peak of the lava battle body. He didn't know how powerful it was, but he felt that it wouldn't be any weaker than a top-tier Jade grade martial skill. The terrifying lava storm began to wreak havoc around the village. The people surrounding the village began to let out mournful screams. In an instant, hundreds of people died. This was strength. This was lethality. Not only that, but a protective wall formed by lava rose around the village, preventing the people surrounding the village from entering. F***CK. Seeing this scene, Lai Huang was shocked. Ling Shao was just testing his skills, but he had already caused such terrifying destruction. After killing so many people, He still wanted to compete with Ling Xiao to see who killed more people. What a joke. Let's do it, Lai Huang. Let me see how strong the War Eagle army is. Ling Xiao laughed loudly. At the same time, he didn't hesitate to use his ability. Holy King's Eye, Berserk War Song. A loud war song sounded in the valley. At that moment, all the War Eagle army martial artists were wrapped in a layer of blood-red light. At this moment, not only were their blood boiling, but their battle strength also soared. They were originally worried that they wouldn't be a match for the War Eagle army, but now they were confident. Holy King's Eye, Recovery War Song. As their battle strength soared, another war song sounded. The War Eagle army martial artists found that their internal energy was recovering at an accelerated rate. They found that their injuries were also healing at an accelerated rate. They didn't know what kind of power this was, but they knew that it came from Ling Xiao, that strange and terrifying youth. Good, really good. Lai Huang found that his battle strength had soared by at least 2 or 3 times. This was simply too satisfying. She had doubted that gigolo before. No, it should be the young hero. Now, she was simply admiring him to the point of prostrating herself in admiration. The chaotic battle had begun. Lai Huang had also found his opponent. It was a first transition Yin-Yang Realm 9th level Hell early stage expert. Little Demoness was left by Ling Xiao beside Yu Fanghua and did not participate in the charge. Ling Xiao, on the other hand, charged into the enemy ranks alone. Although the 100 Eagle army no longer had a cultivator at the first transformation 9th level of Hell. However, there were still more than 10 peak Yin-Yang Realm martial artists at the 8th level of Hell. Ling Xiao planned to stall these 10 people by himself. Brothers, there's something strange about this guy. He must be the one who released that annoying war song. Let's work together and kill him. Otherwise, it will be very troublesome. No one in the Eagle troop was weak. Thus, they quickly found the crux of the problem. They wanted to kill Ling Xiao. Each of their cultivations was comparable to Ling Xiao's. Although there was a large difference in their combat strength, there were still 10 of them. Moreover, there were 10 soldiers. They had the most combat experience and joint attack skills, so naturally, they wouldn't let Ling Xiao have an easy time. Do you need my help? Yu Fanghua's voice suddenly rang in Ling Xiao's ears. No need. You just need to help guard the line of defense. Don't let those people enter the village. Ling Xiao didn't want Yu Fanghua to take the risk. He had just met Yu Fanghua and didn't know how strong his woman was. If he rashly let her attack and something happened, he wouldn't be able to bear the pain. What an arrogant boy. You dare to face 10 of us alone. Do you really think we're useless? The 10 people quickly surrounded Ling Xiao. 3 of them stood in the distance and aimed their bows and arrows at Ling Xiao. 3 others stood in the middle and used spears. 3 others stood in the second row and used swords. The last person stood in the front and held a huge shield. He had no other weapons. It seemed that he was mainly responsible for defense. Such cooperation could be said to be perfect. If they encountered any enemy, they could easily kill them. However, they just had to meet Ling Xiao. He was a terrifying enemy that couldn't be estimated. Ling Xiao completely entered the purple lightning bull martial soul transformation state. Then he directly released the special skill, Earthquake. Not only could this move cause the earth to tremble and the mountains to sway, it could also distort the air. It could also stun the enemy, although it was only a moment of dizziness. But it gave Ling Xiao the best opportunity to attack. Wolf travels 1,000 miles. Lone Wolf travels. He instantly passed through the enemies in front of him and reached the outermost circle. Facing the surprised archers, he smiled coldly and stabbed out with the white jade flying dragon sword in his hand. Slash Xianming. Ling Xiao didn't use his most powerful move, because the more powerful the move, the more inner strength it consumed. And it took a longer time to accumulate energy. There was no time at all. Xianming could be used almost instantly in Ling Xiao's hands. In just an instant, it pierced through the throat of one of the archers. This archer was a martial artist at the 8th level of the Yinyang realm. Facing Ling Xiao's attack, he actually didn't react at all. It wasn't that he didn't want to, but because he had just recovered from the dizziness and was already about to accept the fate of death. Ling Xiao dared to use the martial skill that he had used in the 8 Immortals County City here because he didn't plan to let anyone live. He wanted to kill every single one of the enemies who had come to attack him today. Anyway, even if these people died 10 times, none of them would be innocent. How could a person who would attack the old, weak, women, and children have a good character? Moreover, there was no need for sympathy or mercy on the battlefield. If he showed mercy, he would be the unlucky one. Wolf travels 1,000 miles, lightning wolf. After killing one of the archers, Ling Xiao didn't stop. His figure turned into a bolt of lightning and pounced on the second archer. This second person even made a defensive move. Unfortunately, his body was paralyzed by the lightning and his wrist was stiff. He couldn't block Ling Xiao's attack at all. He became the second victim. In midair, Ling Xiao changed his form. Overlord, Blood, Demon Dragon, Martial Soul Transformation, Demonic Dragon Blood Curse. After killing the second archer, Ling Xiao completed his transformation and attack. The Demonic Dragon Blood Curse targeted everyone around him. At this moment, 3 spearmen were stabbing at him from behind. The third archer fled into the distance. It was obvious that he wanted to increase the distance between them to attack him. Therefore, Ling Xiao used the Demonic Dragon Blood Curse. Today's Demonic Dragon Blood Curse was even more powerful because of the tyrannical blood demonic dragon's advancement. The 4 people around him felt their chi and blood churn, and they almost fell from the sky. The eagle under them had already lost consciousness. Shadow Cone! When they were relatively far away, Ling Xiao shot out a shadow cone from his left hand and pierced the last archer's throat. At this point, in just a few breaths' time, 3 of the 10-peak Yinyang realm experts at the 8th level of the hell had died. Chapter 2594. Ling Xiao took care of the 3 most troublesome archers in a few breaths. The enemy's original formation was completely disrupted. Whether it was the Eagle Army or the War Eagle Army, they were all shocked by the scene. They knew that Ling Xiao was not weak, but they never expected Ling Xiao to be so powerful. Was he really not a disciple of the Royal Capital's Arcana Academy? Was he just a nobody from the 8 Immortals County? The one who felt this the most was Lai Huang. He originally wanted to help Ling Xiao after killing his opponents. In his heart, Ling Xiao was inferior to him and would be in danger. But now he was unable to take down his opponents, and Ling Xiao had already killed 3 of them in the blink of an eye. It was infuriating to compare oneself to others. No wonder His Highness thinks so highly of this person and let him lead the War Eagle Army. Now I understand. I am ashamed. Lai Huang smiled bitterly in his heart. He was like a frog at the bottom of a well. He thought that because his cultivation was higher than others, he was stronger than others. But he had forgotten that there were some people in this world who could kill opponents above their cultivation level. Just as he was thinking, another scream came from the other side. Ling Xiao did not stop attacking just because he killed 3 archers. On the battlefield, he displayed the qualities of a soldier. That was to not relax as long as the battle did not stop. Kill Xianming. Destroy Yinyang. Destroy Ghost King. Kill Ghost Dragon. After 4 consecutive moves by Ling Xiao, the spearmen and short-range soldiers were all killed because the archers were no longer holding them back. In the end, only one person with a huge shield was left of the 10 people. This guy's defense was very strong, so he was able to block several of Ling Xiao's attacks. I'll show you something ruthless. Ling Xiao sneered. Lightning began to jump all over his body. He formed a seal with his hands, and a ball of lightning was blasted out by him. Violent thunder technique. This secret technique did not care if your defense was strong or not. The terrifying lightning struck the huge shield and penetrated it, hitting the last Yin realm martial artist at the peak of the 8th level of hell. The giant shield in his hand fell to the ground, and even the eagle was charred black by the electricity. The man and the eagle died on the spot. Lai Huang, you have to hurry up. As a centurion, don't fall behind me. After killing these 10 First Revolution Yin realm martial artists at the peak of the 8th level of hell, Ling Xiao suddenly transformed into the terrifying purple lightning thunderbolt. The terrifying beasts crashed into the crowd. It was a pity that the Eagle Legion was originally quite strong and disciplined. When fighting with the War Eagle Legion, they were able to gain the upper hand. However, with the addition of the giant beast Ling Xiao, the situation of the battle was immediately reversed. Every time the terrifying beasts collided, more than a dozen people would be killed or injured. The flying eagle was so frightened that it lost control and flew everywhere. You guys deal with those guys on the ground. Kill them all. Don't leave a single one alive. Leave the ones in the sky to me. The people on the ground, seeing that the situation was unfavorable, were actually preparing to flee. However, Ling Xiao would not give them the chance. This was a group of beasts that would not even spare the weak, women, and children. Not to mention that this was a battlefield. Even if he encountered them on a normal day, he would not feel guilty killing them. Other than Lai Huang, the rest of the War Eagle Legion charged towards the ground. Together with the War Eagle's suppression from the sky, they began to massacre the people on the ground. Meanwhile, Ling Xiao was wreaking havoc in the sky. Without using martial techniques, just the terrifying beast soul transformation was enough to terrify the enemy. However, the Eagle Legion was also quite strong. Facing a powerful enemy, they did not retreat at all. Therefore, Ling Xiao gave them the treatment they deserved. At the very least, these people's corpses were left intact. However, their corpses were charred by the lightning. At this moment, Lai Huang finally destroyed his opponent with the help of the 2 battle songs. However, there was nothing for him to be happy about. Speaking of which, if not for Ling Xiao's battle songs, he might not have been this guy's match. It would have been a fierce battle. But now, although the battle lasted a little longer, it was a crushing victory. A complete victory. Not only did he respect Ling Xiao, but he also feared him. Looking at the charred corpses on the ground, he felt his heart tremble a little. Lai Huang was a centurion who had experienced many battles. However, he felt that compared to Ling Xiao's terrifying killing intent, it was like comparing a grain of light to the sun. The difference was too great. What shocked him even more was that the little demoness, who could easily defeat him, did not even make a move. What kind of monster was Ling Xiao? Clean up the battlefield. Ling Xiao's voice rang out again. The fierce enemies who had come had basically turned into corpses. Only the Eagle Legion's deputy general and centurion had not died because they had gone to the volcano. Lai Huang, I'll leave the village to you. I believe you have experience in handling this. I'll be back soon. Although Ling Xiao had obtained the lava chalcedony, he was actually very interested in the 3-headed lava hound. His black wolf general beast soul was no longer of a high grade and needed a more powerful beast soul to replace it. The 3-headed lava hound was not bad. It was just right for him. If he could turn this guy into his beast soul, his combat strength would increase again. Especially after the 3-headed lava hound beast soul transformation, the power of the lava battle constitution would definitely increase. Just like how the purple lightning thunder bull beast soul could increase the power of the lightning battle constitution. I'll go with you. Yu Fenghua suddenly said. No, you stay here. I'll be at ease with the little demoness protecting you. Ling Xiao shook his head and rejected her directly. No, if you die, I'll owe you a favor. So I'll go with you. Oh yes, you're very strong and your temper is to my liking. However, you're still not as strong as me. Yu Fanghua shook her head and rejected Ling Xiao's good intentions. She could feel the care and concern this man had for her. Although she didn't know why, she knew it was sincere. Since the moment she was born, no one had treated her this well except for her parents. Almost everyone had other motives, but this man was different. So she didn't want this man to die. She had a strong feeling that if this man died, she would regret it. All right. Ling Xiao smiled bitterly. He knew the Moon Lady's temper too well. She was as stubborn as he was. Once a decision was made, it was impossible to change it. Since that was the case, there was no need to force her. Let's go. Ling Xiao headed towards the volcano. Just as he rose into the air, there was a sudden roar from the volcano. 2 human figures and a huge beast figure shot out of the volcano at the same time. Hee, looks like those 2 guys didn't get the lava chalcedony and provoked the 3-headed lava hound instead. Maybe we don't have to fight today. Ling Xiao smiled. This was a good opportunity to reap the benefits of a third party. Fanghua, don't expose yourself later. Let them fight. We'll wait for an opportunity to reap the benefits. Chapter 2595. Yu Fanghua wanted to say, "Why should I listen to you?" But when the words were about to come out of his mouth, they changed into a single word. Even she did not know what was wrong with her. Why did she have an innate sense of identity with this man and was willing to listen to him? Seeing Ling Xiao, the little demoness, and Yu Fanghua leave, one of the War Eagle Army sergeants couldn't help but ask, "Centurion, could this person be the genius young master of some large family? How can he be so powerful?" "Nonsense. Don't you know that he is Ling Xiao?" The young man who walked step by step from Yuhua town and defeated the 3 sect leaders of the 8 Immortals County with his own hands and finally became the 8 Immortals County's lord? Lai Huang's view of Ling Xiao had completely changed. Previously, he thought that the rumors outside had overestimated Ling Xiao, but now he understood that it was not overestimating, but underestimating. Seriously underestimating. Didn't they say that his lord position was given to him by Jihyun of Silla? The sergeant asked curiously, "You don't believe me when I say you are stupid. Jihyun of Silla is called buying people's hearts. Do you think someone who is favored by him will be bad?" Lai Huang laughed. "I understand now." The sergeant was enlightened. "All right, you guys clean up the battlefield. I will go help. Those 2 guys from the Eagle Army are at the middle stage of the 9th level of hell after all. There is also that terrifying 3-headed lava hound. Maybe I can help." Lai Huang waved his hand and headed in the direction of the volcano. In the hidden forest, Ling Xiao, the little devil girl, and Yu Fanghua were hiding quietly. They were waiting for the right time to attack. As the saying goes, the mantis stalks the cicada, unaware of the oriole behind. They were the oriole. The 3-headed lava hound was roaring crazily and fighting with 2 people from the Eagle Army. The 2 people were not willing to fight with this guy at first, but they were chased by it when they wanted to escape. They could not escape at all. They had no choice but to turn back and fight. Otherwise, if they left their backs to the giant beast, they would not be far from death. The 3-headed lava hound's body was huge, and each of its attacks was extremely powerful. Just a simple hit was enough to make people tremble in fear. However, the deputy general and centurion of the Eagle Troop were not to be trifled with either. They were actually able to meet force with force in the face of such a colossus. It was just a slight loss. Suddenly, the centurion took out a talisman. In an instant, the terrifying water vapor between heaven and earth condensed together, forming a water ball that was even larger than the 3-headed lava hound. The water ball smashed onto the 3-headed lava hound. This time, the demonic beast was seriously injured. 2 of the 3 heads of the 3-headed lava hound had been destroyed, and many parts of its body had cracked open. Lava was flowing out of its body, and it was in an extremely miserable state. Ha ha ha! A demonic beast will always be a demonic beast. How can you be compared to us cultivators? Since I can't obtain the lava chalcedony, killing you and bringing you back is the same." The centurion revealed a ferocious expression. The deputy general beside him also had a proud look on his face. It was as if the three-headed lava hound was already in their hands. However, Ling Xiao, who was not far away, frowned. This was because he could vaguely sense that the lava in the volcano seemed to be flowing into the three-headed lava hound's body in large amounts. The severed heads of the three-headed lava hound were rapidly growing back. This was nothing. He could clearly feel a terrifying energy gathering in the monster's mouth. "Oh no, this bastard is going to release a large-scale attack. I have to stop it." Originally, Ling Xiao had planned to sit on the mountain and watch the tigers fight, then reap the benefits from the battle. However, he could no longer sit by and do nothing. Once this monster released a terrifying skill, the entire valley would probably become a world of lava. When that happened, the Eagle Troop would be in trouble. After all, they were comrades who had fought together. Ling Xiao did not want to see that happen. Moreover, these Eagle Troop soldiers did not hesitate to become enemies with the royal family for the Ling family. Just this spirit alone was worthy of his respect. How could he let them die without knowing the reason behind it? Thinking of this, he suddenly dashed out. In midair, he transformed into the purple lightning bull and released his lava battle body at the same time. He charged towards the three-headed lava hound. He wanted to interrupt the three-headed lava hound's secret technique. However, Ling Xiao's sudden appearance shocked the centurion and deputy general of the Eagle Troop. What kind of monster is that? Who cares what kind of monster it is? If it wants to steal our prey, we'll kill it together. The centurion did not know that this huge purple lightning bull was Ling Xiao's transformation. He thought that it was a monster that came out of the forest to steal the three-headed lava hound's corpse. He immediately jumped up and attacked Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao could not be bothered with him and focused on the three-headed lava hound. Even if he was attacked by the centurion, he would not die. However, once the three-headed lava hound released its skill, it would be the end of the valley. He could not allow that to happen. "Die, evil creature!" the centurion roared. His most powerful attack had already condensed on the spear in his hand, and he viciously stabbed at the purple lightning bull. There was a ruthless look in his eyes. Ling Xiao definitely could not free himself to deal with the centurion at this time. Although he had the little demoness, he had ordered her to protect Yu Fenghua with her life. Therefore, the little demoness would definitely not choose to attack the centurion. However, to Ling Xiao's surprise, the centurion's body suddenly flew out. Vaguely, Ling Xiao seemed to see a flash of moonlight. Could it be her? There were not many people in the world who could use moonlight as a weapon, except for the Moon Lady. However, at this critical moment, he could not think too much. The terrifying purple lightning bull's body slammed into the three-headed lava hound's stomach. The three-headed lava hound's power that was condensing was instantly scattered, and its entire body fell into the volcano. At this time, Ling Xiao finally breathed a sigh of relief. Not far away, Yu Fenghua also breathed a sigh of relief. What a daredevil! She actually revealed a rare smile. In the past, when she was in the Palace of Eternal Life, she had a nickname, Cold Moon Ruthless. There were two meanings. One was that she had a rare celestial martial soul, the Moon Martial Soul. The other was that she was cold and emotionless and did not smile much. Anyway, other than her parents, no one had seen her smile again. But now, she was actually smiling again, which surprised even herself. The situation at this time was a little strange. The three-headed lava hound was seriously injured. The centurion of the Eagle Army was seriously injured. Only the deputy general and Ling Xiao were unharmed, but they were somewhat exhausted. Of course, the little demoness hiding in the dark, Yu Fenghua, and Lai Huang, who had just arrived, were also fine. However, they did not participate in the battle for the time being. Lai Huang, Help me keep an eye on the three-headed lava hound. If it does anything strange, tell me immediately. I will kill the deputy general first. Ling Xiao sensed Lai Huang's arrival, but Lai Huang was definitely not the three-headed lava hound's opponent, so he could only help keep an eye on it. Chapter 2596. Arrogant man, don't take everything on yourself. You're no match for them alone. Yu Fenghua walked out from the shadows. The little devil girl followed closely behind. She looked at Ling Xiao and said, "The little devil girl and I will deal with the three-headed lava hound. We can at least stall it for you. Leave that heavily injured centurion to our centurion Lai Huang. You just need to focus on dealing with that deputy general." Ling Xiao was about to speak when Yu Fenghua added, "Don't refuse. You don't have the right to refuse." After speaking, she pounced on the three-headed lava hound. "Little devil girl, protect her well." Ling Xiao also knew that Yu Fenghua's method was the best. It was much better than the strategy he had come up with previously. He had ignored the strategy because he did not want Yu Fenghua to be in danger. But now there was no other way. He could only hope that the little devil girl could protect Yu Fenghua well. "Lai Huang, do as she says." "No problem." After assigning the battle tasks, Ling Xiao returned to his purple lightning ox form and looked at the deputy of the Eagle Army. "Who are you? How dare you interfere with my Eagle Army's business?" The deputy of the Eagle Army frowned. Most people in this country did not dare to offend him, let alone the 14th prince's man. In terms of cultivation alone, he was much stronger than this young man. Did this kid have a death wish? "I'm interfering with your Eagle Army's business. I've killed all your underlings. Next, it's your turn." Ling Xiao sneered. The 8 male and female immortal swords appeared in his hands. Lava was boiling all over his body. It was quite shocking. The reason why he chose the top-level lava battle body was because they were at the mouth of a volcano. The power of the lava battle body would be stronger. Of course, nothing was set in stone. He would still adapt to the next battle. After all, he had never been an old-fashioned person. "Nonsense. You think you can kill so many of my Eagle Army's men?" The lieutenant general didn't believe Ling Xiao's words at all. "Are you an idiot? If we didn't destroy your people, why would Lai Huang and I have the time to come and cause trouble for you?" Ling Xiao sneered. "It's up to you to believe it or not. When you go to hell, you can ask your comrades what happened. Do you really have to kill them?" The deputy general's eyes suddenly narrowed into slits. His eyes were filled with terrifying killing intent. "Indeed." Ling Xiao nodded. "Then go to hell." The deputy general suddenly launched an attack. His weapon was a saber. It seemed to be an immortal-grade spirit weapon. Compared to Ling Xiao's 8 immortal swords, it was 1 level lower. Therefore, in terms of weapons, Ling Xiao had the advantage. Otherwise, he wouldn't have dared to face this guy one-on-one. The other party's movement technique was terrifying as well. From the looks of it, it was a top-tier jade grade movement technique. As for Ling Xiao's 1,000-mile wolf, only the last 2 moves were top-tier jade grade movement techniques. The first 7 moves were actually just a top-grade, high-tier jade grade movement technique. Even so, Ling Xiao had already mastered these 7 moves to perfection. In terms of movement techniques, he was not inferior to his opponent at all. In terms of speed and flexibility, he was even better. Perhaps this was the so-called talent. Seeing this, the lieutenant general couldn't help but be surprised. "Good boy, I didn't expect you to be able to master a top-tier jade grade movement technique to such a level. With such talent, are you a genius disciple of the Arcana Academy?" A frog in a well. Is the Arcana Academy the only one in the world? Ling Xiao was worried about Yu Fenghua, so he didn't want to waste time talking nonsense. As he spoke, he intensified his attacks. Since his movement technique was better than his opponent's, he would use it to fight. After all, in terms of pure strength, his opponent was much stronger than him. Bang! After many probing and dodging, the two finally clashed. Then they separated quickly. That's a divine-grade spiritual weapon. Which family are you from? Ling Shao wasn't at a disadvantage in this clash because he used his fighting techniques to the extreme. He used his advantage to attack his opponent's weakness. So the lieutenant general was the one at a disadvantage. However, what the lieutenant general saw was not the marvelous skills of his martial arts, but the difference in the weapon. Greed appeared in his eyes. Although I don't use a long sword, if I give this weapon to the 14th prince as a gift, he will definitely like it. I'm afraid he won't be so lucky. Ling Shao spoke fast, and his attacks were even faster. He stabbed with both swords at the same time in different directions with different moves. This was another advantage he had over his opponent. Double wielding, cut Xianming, break yin and yang. You have this kind of ability. The lieutenant general was stunned for a moment. He quickly retreated and used his martial arts to defend himself. He was stronger than Ling Shao in terms of strength, so he underestimated his opponent at the beginning. But at this moment, he didn't dare to underestimate his opponent at all. He had already treated Ling Shao as an opponent on the same level as him. Scorching Sun Saber, the lieutenant general roared. As he retreated, he raised his saber high and slashed down fiercely. There seemed to be a red sun flashing on the saber. The light was dazzling, and the temperature instantly exploded. The martial arts technique used by this guy was also a top-tier jade grade martial arts technique, and it was a good one. It was more powerful than Ling Zhao's cut Xianming and break yin yang. So in an instant, the Scorching Sun saber defeated the two attacks. However, the power of the combination of the two attacks also collapsed the saber chi of the Scorching Sun saber. Ling Zhao's lips curled into a sneer, as if his evil plan had succeeded. Oh no! The lieutenant general seemed to have realized that his opponent had used a less powerful and less energy-consuming move to exchange for his big one. Although his cultivation was much higher than Ling Zhao's, the Scorching Sun Saber was his strongest martial arts technique. Now that it was offset by Ling Zhao's two small moves, he was at a disadvantage. I don't believe you can block it. The lieutenant general flew into a rage out of humiliation. He attacked Ling Shao with the Scorching Sun Saber again, but he only used the power of the profound achievement in the previous attack. This time, he used the power of the Great Fulfillment. Do you think you're the only one who knows martial arts techniques of this level? Ling Shao sneered. He stabbed with both swords again. Dual wield, King of Annihilation, Ghost Dragon Slaying. He used two moves at the same time again. King of Annihilation was a top-tier jade grade martial arts technique, which was of the same level as the Scorching Sun Saber. It was perfect to weaken the power of the Scorching Sun Saber. As for the Ghost Slaying Dragon, it was a martial skill of a higher grade than the Sun Battle Saber. Since it was launched later, the Deputy General had no way to react. The terrifying attack directly hit his body and sent him flying into the dense forest. Ling Shao did not spare him and flew into the dense forest. He absolutely couldn't let anyone live. Otherwise, today's battle might be leaked out. Chapter 2597. The Deputy General naturally didn't die in the forest. After all, he was stronger than Ling Shao. Although he had been hit directly, he had only suffered minor injuries. However, the Deputy General didn't want to continue fighting. He had started to fear his opponent. He had also started to doubt himself. He wanted to leave just like that and report the situation here to the 14th Prince. However, how could Ling Shao give him such an opportunity? There was no one else in the forest. There was only the Deputy General and Ling Shao, who had chased after him. Ling Shao released his tyrannical sky, martial soul without restraint. Terrifying power poured out of the pitch-black universe and fused into the two swords. It's been a long time since I used all my strength to deal with someone. It's an honor that you're dead. Tyrannical sky, ghost war emperor. The vast universe was pitch black. Suddenly, a huge figure walked out of the universe. It was a strange, gigantic monster. Its entire body exuded sharp sword intent and killing intent. It pounced on the deputy general like a comet. Faced with this despairing attack, the deputy general frantically used all sorts of abilities to block and evade it. Unfortunately, it was useless. The huge ghost or emperor finally landed on the ground. A large part of the dense forest had been cut off. The deputy general had been buried by the violent sword chi along with the dense forest. After killing the deputy general of the Eagle Troop, Ling Xiao put away his tyrannical sky martial soul and heaved a sigh of relief. The combination of a divine-grade spirit weapon and the tyrant martial soul made him use almost all the means at his disposal except for the butterfly lady and Yuan venerates. Only then had he finally killed the deputy general. This process had been really tough. Even so, he had still gained a lot. He had finally broken through 20% of his energy at the peak of the 8th level of hell. Next, he just needed to condense another 80% of his energy to break through to the 9th level of hell. Only by reaching that level of cultivation would he be considered an ordinary genius martialist in the royal capital. Ling Xiao didn't have time to enjoy the joy of this victory. After killing the deputy general, he immediately returned in the direction of the volcano because he was worried about Yu Fanghua. However, when he arrived there, he found that Yu Fanghua was still standing on top of a huge boulder without a speck of dust. As for the corpse of the three-headed lava hound, it was lying on the ground. It was unknown when the battle had ended. Ling Xiao was a little surprised. It seemed like the Moon Lady was stronger than him both before and after reincarnating. However, after thinking about it carefully, he felt relieved. The Moon Lady was born in the Eternal Palace. With the best resources in the Black Tortoise continent, the most powerful martial arts, and his own foundation, it would be strange if he was not as strong as him. It seems like my worries were unnecessary. Ling Xiao chuckled and shook his head. He wasn't jealous of Yu Fanghua at all. Instead, he felt a strong sense of security. As long as Yu Fanghua was stronger than him, he would not have to worry. Young Hero Ling, come and help me. Suddenly, a loud cry for help came from Lai Huang's side. Damn, you can't even defeat a heavily injured centurion. Ling Xiao frowned and was a little dissatisfied. However, when he turned his head, he discovered that the centurion of the Eagle Army had a similar talisman as the deputy general. It was a powerful talisman. It was just that the effects were different. This talisman had summoned a huge lava monster that was attacking Lai Huang. However, the centurion was nowhere to be seen. Oh no, that guy escaped. Ling Xiao immediately released his soul power to capture the centurion's whereabouts. That guy shouldn't have escaped too far. If he chased, he would definitely be able to catch up. As for Lai Huang being forced back, he didn't care at all. Although the lava monster was strong, it could only last for 5 minutes. Lai Huang could still hold on, so he didn't need to worry. Found him. Ling Xiao finally caught a whiff of the centurion's aura. However, his expression immediately turned ugly. This was because he discovered that Lin Ruoxian and Moon Death were heading up the mountain. The two girls must have come up the mountain to search for Ling Xiao because he had left. Lin Ruoxian and Moon Death's cultivation had already broken through to the peak of the 7th level of hell of the Yin-Yang realm. This cultivation level could be considered invincible in the 8 Immortal City. However, in front of the centurion of the Eagle Army, it was not worth mentioning. Although the centurion was heavily injured, his cultivation level was much higher. He could probably kill Lin Ruoxian and Moon Death within 10 moves. Ling Xiao thought of this and transformed into a wolf-shaped lightning bolt as he sped in that direction. Although Lin Ruoxian and Moon Death were not his true love, they had been through life and death situations with him. He definitely couldn't allow these two women to be hurt. Originally, he wanted the corpse of the three-headed lava hound. However, in order to save people, he couldn't even care about that. At this moment, he only wanted to kill the centurion as soon as possible. Faster! Faster! Ling Xiao actually discovered the centurion's corpse on the ground. There was no one around. He couldn't help but be shocked. Too heavily injured. So he died? Big brother Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao. Suddenly, two crisp sounds could be heard from the forest. Ling Xiao suddenly discovered that Lin Ruoxian and Moon Death were actually there unharmed. Both of them had broken through at the same time. Lin Ruoxian was already at the middle stage of the 8th level of Hell of the Yin-Yang realm. Moon Death was at the early stage of the 8th level of Hell of the Yin-Yang realm. At this moment, Ling Xiao could feel that a lot of the power of the General of Nine Snakes and General of Lung used sealed within their bodies had been released. Ling Xiao had helped them seal this power in their bodies. This way, it wouldn't continue to leak out. Ordinary warriors didn't have this ability. If they suddenly received a large amount of power, they would explode. They would either explode to death, release the power, or store it in some container. However, Ling Xiao could turn this power into his own potential and store it in his cells. He could also help others do this, but unfortunately, it wasn't as perfect as him. He could store 100% of it, but he would lose at least half of it to help others. However, even so, it could still be used for Lin Ruoxian and Moon Death for a long time. At the very least, this kind of accumulated power would exist before they reached the 18th level of Hell. Therefore, the cultivation of these two girls would increase very quickly. There was another person who had this advantage, and that was Ling Yan. He had the complete inheritance of the 8 Immortals Patriarch in his body. It was also sealed with Ling Xiao's help. Now that Lin Ruoxian and Moon Death had broken through, and it was a major breakthrough, there was only one possibility. It was because they had killed the centurion of the Eagle Army. Did you kill him? Ling Xiao asked curiously. Yes, this person attacked us crazily and was extremely powerful. However, we didn't make the same mistake as when we dealt with him last time. We calmly used our Dharma treasures to kill the heavily injured him. Lin Ruoxian explained. He looks like you've grown. Chapter 2598. The stronger Lin Ruoxian and Moon Death were, the more help they would be to Ling Xiao. Naturally, he would be happy. Let's go. I'll bring you to meet a friend. Ling Xiao brought Lin Ruoxian and Moon Death to the volcano. Yu Fanghua was still there. The little devil girl was also there. Lai Huang was lying on the ground, panting heavily. The huge lava monster was already gone. What a beautiful woman! The moment they saw Yu Fanghua, Lin Ruoxian and Moon Death let out the same exclamation. They were considered stunning beauties, but compared to Yu Fanghua, they were not on the same level. This made the two girls feel helpless. But more than that, they were amazed. The person I want to introduce to you is Yu Fanghua, my new friend. Ling Xiao smiled and introduced Lin Ruoxian and Moon Death, then said, Fanghua, these two are my good friends, Lin Ruoxian and Moon Death. You really know how to make friends. Your luck with women is not bad. Yu Fanghua did not know why, but when she saw Ling Xiao's good relationship with Lin Ruoxian and Moon Death, she actually felt jealous. Therefore, she blurted out such words. When she said it, she was stunned. She did not understand why she was like this. She could clearly maintain her indifference and absolute calmness in front of others. Why did she lose her composure after seeing this guy called Ling Xiao? Fanghua, listen to me. They are really just my friends. It's not like what you think. Ling Xiao had just found his true love. He really did not want Moon Death to misunderstand. You don't have to explain to me. We just met by chance, Yu Fanghua said lightly. After saying that, she actually put on the bamboo hat again. There was a black gauze on the bamboo hat, which covered her beautiful face. Ling Xiao sighed helplessly, but he didn't explain anything. He believed that his feelings for the Moon Lady were real. From the heavenly dragon continent to the black tortoise continent, he had met too many beautiful women. However, the one who was truly in love with him was this woman. In this life, it would never change. Fearing that the more he explained, the more confused he became, the more he targeted the corpse of the three-headed lava hound. He took out the three-headed lava hound's crystal core and gave it to her. This avatar of his had the ability to devour all heat energy. Either light or heat would do. Therefore, this three-headed lava hound's demonic beast core was definitely beneficial to her. As for Ling Xiao himself, he kept the three-headed lava hound's corpse into the mountain river world. Yu Fanghua didn't say anything about it, so it was hard to tell what she was thinking. After she devoured the three-headed lava hound's demonic beast core, she began to cultivate at the mouth of the volcano. After Ling Xiao obtained the three-headed lava hound's corpse, he sat down cross-legged and began to use the special effect of the Sky Tyrant martial soul to transform it into a beast soul. Sister Moon Lady, whether you know me or not, I, Ling Xiao, will protect you with all my heart, forever. Therefore, I must become stronger. With that in mind, Ling Xiao had already entered a frenzied state of cultivation. In front of everyone, he ate the mid-grade spirit stones and yin and yang pills like they were fried beans. Lai Huang, who was standing at the side, was dumbfounded. His eyes almost popped out of their sockets. My goodness, where did this young heroling come from? Isn't he an ordinary person? How could he have such an extravagant cultivation method? Those spiritual stones are as if they cost nothing. Those pills are even eaten in large quantities. Yu Fanghua was also surprised. Ordinary martial artists would never dare to do such a thing. Although the medium spiritual stones and pills were good things, there was a limit to how much a person's body could withstand. If they were too hasty, the result would be very troublesome. If things went wrong, he might even lose his life. They would directly explode from the terrifying energy. However, Ling Xiao's body was as deep as the universe. It was vast and boundless. No matter what entered his body, it seemed to be able to transform and refine it. After about 10 minutes, the three-headed lava hound's corpse had completely disappeared. A large amount of energy, stimulated by the spiritual stones and pills, surged into Ling Xiao's inner hell. This caused Ling Xiao's strength to soar from 20% to 70%. This wasn't the end. At this time, the three-headed lava hound had just been transformed into a beast soul. A portion of its strength was still stored in its soul. Ling Xiao activated the deity dog position and took out the Black Wolf General's beast soul. He merged it into his body and turned it into his own energy. Unfortunately, it was like a drop in the ocean. It couldn't cause any waves. After that, he placed the newly transformed three-headed lava hound's beast soul into the deity dog position. At that moment, the energy contained in the three-headed lava hound's beast soul exploded again. The last 30% of the energy was also filled. The door to the 9th level of hell appeared above Ling Xiao's head. It was completely open. He had broken through again, and this breakthrough gave him more confidence to protect Yu Fanghua. However, for this breakthrough, he had used up close to 10,000 medium spiritual stones. He had also used up more than 100 yin-yang pills. Ordinary people couldn't afford to be so extravagant. Even if he was a disciple of a large family, he wouldn't be able to use this kind of resource as freely as Ling Xiao. With a huge increase in his cultivation, his strength naturally soared as well. If he were to meet the Deputy General now, he would be killed in a second. There was no need to use the Sky Tyrant martial soul. He had broken through, and so did his external incarnation. After completely devouring the three-headed lava hound's beast core, Yu Fenghua's cultivation had jumped from the middle stage of the 9th level of hell to the late stage and reached the peak stage. The little devil girl's aura also became stronger. Are you leaving? Yu Fanghua couldn't help but ask when she saw Ling Xiao open his eyes. Yes, I'm going to the Qin Kingdom's capital to join the Arcana Academy and cultivate at a higher level. Ling Xiao nodded and said, What about you? Do you want to come with me? He knew that Yufenghua didn't have any other friends here, but he still had to ask. Of course. You're my only friend in the Qin Kingdom. I'll go with you lest you get killed. Yufenghua said lightly. Although her voice was cold, Ling Xiao was very happy to hear her concern. It seemed like even though the Moon Lady had reincarnated, she still had feelings for Ling Xiao in her subconscious. This kind of love went deep into her bones and soul. Then I'll have to trouble heroine Fenghua. Ling Xiao smiled and then stood up and said, In 2 more days, the 7th prince will probably enter the 8 immortal city. We'll set off then. Then I'll go deal with the corpses and organize the defense. Lai Huang felt like he was a huge third wheel here. Hearing Ling Xiao's words, he hurriedly said, Then I'll have to trouble Centurion Lai Huang. Ling Xiao nodded and then said to Lin Ruoxian and Moon Death, You too can cultivate here. Chapter 2599. This place is suitable for cultivation. You too can come as well. Ling Xiao looked at Lin Ruoxian and Moon Death and said, Okay. The two nodded, then sat down and closed their eyes. Fenghua, I'll have to trouble you to wait for 2 more days. Ling Xiao looked at Yufenghua and said, It doesn't matter. Yufenghua said coldly and then sat down. He couldn't see her face clearly and didn't know what she was thinking. However, Ling Xiao was already very satisfied that the person he loved was by his side. 2 days passed in the blink of an eye. Ling Xiao used these 2 days to consolidate his cultivation. At the same time, he started to cultivate the Heavenly Thunder Divine Guard and the higher-level Lightning Shield. Perhaps it was because his hard work paid off, or perhaps it was because his cultivation had broken through. The Lightning Shield allowed him to cultivate to the proficient level. The Heavenly Thunder Divine Guard had also reached the small success level. He could finally have a Heavenly Thunder Divine Guard. These 2 days didn't go to waste. Although there were a few waves of people who came, their strength wasn't very high. The War Eagle army easily dealt with them. After bidding farewell to the War Eagle army, Ling Xiao took Yufenghua, Lin Ruoxian, and Moon Death and embarked on the journey to the Qin Kingdom's capital. That place was like a big river, and they were only small carps. They couldn't cause any waves in the big river. Carps couldn't compare to the big river. If they didn't jump through the Dragon's Gate, there wouldn't be any real change. This was what Ling Xiao was pursuing. On the way, Ling Xiao transformed into the black striped flying tiger and carried the beauties. They arrived at the Qin Kingdom's capital at dawn the next day. The capital city was named Thunder City. This was because the Qin Kingdom's royal family basically all had lightning martial spirits. Although there were many variants, they were all related to lightning. This was also the key reason why the 13th prince wanted to obtain the inheritance of the Heavenly Thunder Divine Emperor. Lightning City occupied a large area. Looking at the area, it was at least 10 times larger than the 8 Immortal City. It was extremely vast. No matter how large the black-striped flying tiger was, it was nothing more than a mosquito in front of the enormous Thunder Capital. Riding a demonic beast was nothing much to martial artists. However, Ling Xiao did not want to be too conspicuous. When he was about 1,000 meters away from Leidu, he transformed back into his original form. He was traveling on foot with a few beauties. With their speed, it would only take them a few minutes to cover this distance. Let's stick to the original plan and use Jihyun of Silla's name to gain a foothold in the royal city. Ling Xiao had gotten acquainted with the 7th prince, Qin Kangmeng, and decided to support him to become the king of the Qin Kingdom. But now was not the time to reveal it. After all, Qin Kangmeng's foundation was too shallow. Not only would he not be of any help to him in the capital, he would even be detrimental to him. But Jihyun of Silla was different. After entering the royal city, there were 2 people that one could not afford to offend. One was Jihyun of Silla, and the other was the flying eagle-killing god, 14th Prince Chin Songseong. Even the king of the Chun kingdom was not as dangerous as these two. Therefore, if one became a subordinate of Jihyun of Silla, one would at least be safer. As the saying goes, all roads lead to Lei-do, although Lei-do had 4 city gates. Each gate only had one main road. However, after a few hundred meters, there would be many branching roads, like tributaries flowing into a large river. Every branching road was filled with people. It made people feel more lively than they had ever felt before. This black tortoise continent is indeed more powerful than the previous 3 continents. Just the small Qin kingdom is already more lively than the most prosperous cities of the previous 3 continents. Ling Xiao sighed in his heart as he arrived at the city gate with the others. Since Ling Xiao, Lin Ruoxian, and Moon Death all had the admission certificate of the Arcana Academy, the guards at the city gate were very polite to them. And since Yu Fenghua was with them, it was naturally easy for them to pass through. Originally, ordinary people were not allowed to enter the city with their faces covered. Yu Fenghua could be considered to have enjoyed special treatment. As soon as they stepped into the imperial city, a group of people appeared in front of them. "Sir, are you Lord Ling Xiao and his group?" The leader of the group cupped his hands and asked. "That's right, you are." Ling Xiao asked in confusion. "Oh, we are the soldiers of Jihyun of Silla's residence." Jihyun of Silla was worried that young Hero and the others would not be familiar with the situation, so he specially ordered us to welcome you. The leader of the group said very politely, "So that's how it is. Jihyun of Silla is really well informed. He actually knew that I would arrive in the royal city today. Well, it just so happens that I am not familiar with the royal city. Lead the way." Ling Xiao glanced at the leader and smiled. "This way, please." The leader and Ling Xiao's group walked in the middle. The rest of the group opened up a path in front, while the rest protected them from behind. They were quite cautious. Lin Ruoxian and Moon Death's attention was completely focused on the majestic Thunder City. In the center of Thunder City was an inner city. A wide and tall gate stood tall, blocking everyone from entering. That was where the royal palace was located, the inner city. Ordinary people were not allowed to enter easily. Outside the inner city was the responsibility of the City Defense Battalion, which was Gu Mingyu's father, Gu Tianba. He was the commander of the City Defense Battalion and a first-grade marquis. He had a high position and authority. The inner city was under the responsibility of the Imperial Army. The Imperial Army had more than 50,000 soldiers, and they were all carefully selected. Each of them was very powerful. They were only responsible for protecting the royal authority and not the commoners. From time to time, there would be soldiers of the City Defense Battalion patrolling the outer city. When they saw Ling Xiao's group, they actually stopped and made way. This made Ling Xiao somewhat surprised. Jihyun of Silla was really powerful in Thunder City. Even the City Defense Battalion had to make way when they saw his people. This could be said to be monstrous power. There were many people on the road, all kinds of people. Ling Xiao was one of the most inconspicuous among these people. Therefore, no one would notice him. This young man who walked lightly on the streets of Thunder City with his brows slightly furrowed, as if he was thinking about something, would actually become the person who would change the world of Qin country. His existence would change the direction of the wheel of history. The future of Qin country would also change because of him. "I'm suddenly a little hungry. Why don't we eat something before leaving?" Ling Xiao suddenly looked at the guard captain and said, "That's not very good, young hero Ling. We're just following orders. It wouldn't be good if something went wrong." The guard captain frowned and said, "It's fine. We won't go too far. Isn't there a restaurant? Looking at the size, it's pretty high-end. You guys just wait outside. What can happen?" Ling Xiao smiled and walked toward the restaurant. The other 3 girls followed closely behind. The guard captain seemed a little angry and helpless. He could only order his subordinates to surround the restaurant and then personally accompany Ling Xiao to the restaurant. The restaurant was very big, but there were also many guests. Therefore, it wasn't easy to find a seat. However, Ling Xiao's group was lucky. They happened to find a clean table, ordered a few dishes, and waited. The captain of the guards stood at the side like a wooden pillar. "I say, can you stand a little further away? You're making me lose my appetite. In any case, I'm your prince's guest. You don't have to look at me like I'm a prisoner, right?" Chapter 2600. It's my duty. Please forgive me. The guard captain still refused to leave. Ling Xiao's face suddenly darkened. "I told you to get out, so get out. Don't be so long-winded. You really think I don't know that you're not Ji-hyun of Scylla's man, but the 14th prince is?" The guard captain obviously didn't expect Ling Xiao to see through his identity. But even if he was seen through, he still had to pretend. "Young hero, you must be joking. We've all followed Prince Ji-hyun of Scylla for many years. How could we be the 14th prince's men?" Ling Xiao sneered. "As far as I know, Gu Qianba and Marquis Xiang of the city defense camp are both the 14th prince's men. How could his men be so polite to Ji-hyun of Scylla's men? But I'm afraid you can't be sure based on this. This is the royal city. It's normal to be polite to Prince Ji-hyun of Scylla's men." The guard captain was still stubbornly pretending. "Then what's with this waist tag?" Ling Xiao suddenly flashed a waist tag. On it were the words, "Prince of War." The 14th prince was the Prince of War. This was his title. "Ah!" The guard captain exclaimed again. He was shocked. "That waist tag was in my storage ring. How could it be?" At this time, he had nothing to pretend anymore. Ling Xiao had already found out. There was no point in pretending. "Who told you that you can't steal things from the storage ring?" Ling Xiao sneered and suddenly threw the waist tag at the guard captain. The guard captain hurriedly took out his weapon to block, but was directly blasted out of the restaurant. "Go back and tell your 14th prince that he'd better not play this trick on me. Otherwise, don't blame me for not warning him. Get out." His "get lost" was extremely loud and clear, like a clap of thunder. Unrelated people didn't feel anything when they heard it. It was just that it was loud. However, when the 14th prince and the others heard this, it was as if they had been struck by lightning. They were so scared that they fled in panic. Who would have thought that the dignified 14th prince would play such lowly tricks? I thought that he was a 9-star prince and a flying eagle-killing god. Who would have thought that he would be so despicable and shameless? Lin Ruoxian obviously didn't realize that the guard captain was faking it. He couldn't help but curse in his shock. This restaurant was not a place where one could hide their voices. This scene was naturally seen by others. "Miss, be careful with your words. If you dare to talk about the 14th prince behind his back again, you might lose your life." A voice rang out. A girl walked down from the attic. She was about 16 or 17 years old. Her appearance was not bad, and her strength was not bad either. She looked at Lin Ruoxian coldly. Her eyes filled with jealousy and viciousness. "We are guests of Her Highness Ji-hyun of Scylla. The 14th prince dares to treat us like this. Can I even say a word?" Moon Death could not help but ask. "That's right, you can't." A cold glint flashed in the girl's eyes, and a murderous aura rose on her face. "Other than the king, whoever doesn't listen to the 14th prince's words will die. You are the example." At this point, she suddenly waved her hand, and a black snake all flew through the air. It whistled through the air and shot directly towards Moon Death's forehead. She clearly wanted to take Moon Death's life. Her methods were extremely vicious. Her actions also showed that she was in the same boat as the 14th prince. She didn't even put Ji-hyun of Scylla in her eyes. When Ling Xiao was sizing up this girl, he could feel her dense, murderous aura. so he had been very careful. Seeing her trembling wrist and wanting to kill without saying a word, he couldn't help but be filled with boundless, murderous intent. He had seen such a vicious person before, and that person's ending was death. He coldly raised his hand, and the chopsticks in his hand accurately caught the snake awl. The snake awl was not big, only the size of an adult's pinky, but it flickered with a green glow. It was obviously smeared with poison. With such a strong poison, even a small scratch would cause great harm to one's skin. Miss, your thoughts are a bit too vicious. They were just speaking the truth. Even if they offended the 14th prince, it's pardonable. There's no need to kill them, right? Ling Xiao's voice was cold and murderous. He was really angry. He had just arrived at the imperial city, so he didn't want to cause any trouble. But who would have thought that the 14th prince would send someone to pick him up as soon as he entered the city? His motive was obvious. In the storage ring of the guard captain, there was not only a waste token, but also a secret order. Lure Ling Xiao and the others to a secret place. If they refused to submit, kill them. Just based on this, Ling Xiao was not done with the 14th prince. He had seen through the other party's scheme, but only chased them away. He didn't kill them because he didn't want to make a big deal out of it. After all, he had just arrived and felt that he should keep a low profile. But with such a vicious and crazy woman suddenly popping out, he really couldn't hold back his anger. Haven't you heard that trouble comes from a loose tongue? Although I don't know where you country bumpkins came from, in the imperial city, even if the 14th prince insulted your mother, you have to accept it without the slightest bit of dissatisfaction. Moreover, they dared to insult the 14th prince, so they must pay the price in blood. At this point, the girl looked coldly at Ling Xiao and said, I'll teach you today that there are rules in the imperial city. If you can't control your mouth, you'll die. Lowly people like you can pollute the imperial city with even the air you breathe, not to mention slandering His Highness the Prince. You deserve 10,000 deaths. As she spoke, she circulated internal energy in her hands and pinched the 2 snake awls in her hands. She clearly looked at Ling Xiao. My snake awls aren't something a lowly country bumpkin like you has the right to touch. Ling Xiao's gaze grew colder and colder. He knew that the girl in front of him was definitely not simple. According to common sense, he shouldn't provoke her. But he also knew that he, Ling Xiao, would never pretend to be a coward. When it was time to make a move, even if the other party was the Heavenly Emperor, they definitely wouldn't be able to stop him. You keep saying that others are lowly. Then what do you think you are? Are you the 14th prince's dog? Or perhaps she was a bed attendant that he kept for himself. You have a beautiful face, but the things you do and the words you say are like snakes and scorpions. You're really disgusting. Ling Xiao acted as if he didn't see the other party's furious expression and continued to speak unhurriedly. You're courting death. The girl was finally angry. The number of snake awls in her hands increased to 10, and they all shot at Ling Xiao. A cold, murderous aura spread in the restaurant, scaring the onlookers away. Even if they were just watching the show, they had to protect their lives. Otherwise, it would be tragic if they lost their lives while watching the show. Ling Xiao coldly looked at the incoming snake awls. I'm courting death? You're just at the middle stage of the 8th level of hell. I really don't know who gave you the courage to be so arrogant. Chapter 2601. Ling Xiao sneered disdainfully. As he spoke, he casually raised his hand, and the snake awl between his chopsticks suddenly flew out. He didn't even bother to use a martial technique to deal with such trash. The other party's snake awl was enough. The snake awl suddenly released a powerful force in the air, completely blocking the girl's 10 snake awls, and shattering them. Then the snake awl continued to fly out with unstoppable momentum. In that instant, the young girl was so scared that her face lost all color. At this moment, the captain of the guards who had been blasted out of the restaurant by Ling Xiao actually dashed over from the stairs. He waved his saber in an attempt to block the snake all. You overestimate yourself. I'll spare your dog life, but you still won't leave. Don't blame me for what happens next. Ling Shao sneered. The guard captain was not weak either, even stronger than the girl. He had reached the late stage of the 8th level of hell in Yinyang realm. But so what? Ling Shao, who had made a huge breakthrough in the mysterious valley, looked at this person as if he were looking at a clown. Young miss, don't be afraid. I'm coming. He confidently rushed out just to block Ling Xiao's snake awl. However, the snake awl shattered the saber in his hand and stabbed into his body. The poison was instantly released. He fell to the ground in fright, trembling and convulsing. The girl hurriedly gave the guard captain the antidote, but unfortunately the guard captain still died. How could a poison that had been modified by Ling Xiao be so easily cured? But the guard captain's death was not in vain. At this moment, dozens of young experts had already entered the restaurant. These people were about 17 or 18 years old, but they were all powerful. They were all at the 8th level of hell in Yinyang realm. If they were in the 8 Immortals County, they would be much stronger than the 3 sect masters. The imperial capital where geniuses gathered was indeed worthy of its reputation. These people surrounded the girl. They were clearly the girl's escorts or guards. The girl hid in the crowd, her expression ferocious. You dare to attack me? Do you know who I am? She roared angrily, like a tigress whose food had been snatched away. I don't care who you are. Ling Xiao suddenly stood up, and a terrifying killing intent spread throughout the restaurant. This powerful killing intent caused the expressions of many onlookers to change greatly. They thought that Ling Xiao was just making things up when he said that he was Ji Hyun of Scylla's guest. But now they believed the young man's words. His strength was truly terrifying. I don't care who you are, ugly woman. If you can attack me, I can attack you. Although that woman's words sounded ridiculous, she could attack others, hurt others, and humiliate others. Others couldn't resist or fight back. This didn't seem to make sense. However, Ling Xiao, who had experienced a lot, understood that this was not funny at all. In fact, it was very reasonable. In the capital city, there was a group of people like this. They held high positions and had illustrious backgrounds. They could often kill, torture, and humiliate others. They could break the law at will, but they would not be punished, because this was the law of the profound world, the law of the jungle. They might not be strong, but their relatives and their families were strong enough, unless you had the ability to overturn all of this. Otherwise, even if they bullied you, you would have to endure it. But Ling Xiao was a person who didn't believe in heresy. He couldn't be attacked and humiliated by others and still endure it. He was the heavenly emperor of the heavenly empire, a person who aspired to unify the profound world. He couldn't admit defeat in front of a vicious and ugly woman. Those people who were protecting the young girl looked at Ling Xiao very fiercely, as if Ling Xiao had committed an unforgivable crime. But at the same time, they were very cautious, because Ling Xiao's attack just now had already displayed part of his strength. Coupled with that powerful killing intent, they couldn't help but be careful. In the capital city, no one dares to call me ugly. Now kneel in front of me, lick my shoes clean, and then swear allegiance to the 14th prince. I can give you a chance to become my slave and let you accompany me by my side. The fear on the young girl's face gradually faded. Perhaps because there were too many people, her arrogant expression once again appeared on her cheeks. She must teach this arrogant youth a lesson. In the capital city, she had never been offended like this. This was the first time. The arrogance of a frog at the bottom of a well. That's because you haven't seen the real sky. Ling Xiao laughed disdainfully, then lifted his foot and walked towards the young girl, coldly saying, I will also give you a chance. Kneel down, slap yourself, 10 slaps to the face, then you can get lost. I won't kill you. Consider giving face to the 14th prince, but don't go too far this afternoon. A contemptuous smile hung on his face. He believed that in this world, strength was always respected. Even if this young girl's position was very respected, without strength, she still dared to find trouble with him, a frog at the bottom of a well, ignorant and seeking death. "What did you say?" The young girl didn't seem to hear Ling Zhao's words clearly. Her body was violently trembling. No one had ever dared to speak to her like this. Never. Ling Zhao didn't want to waste any more words. Using his hand as a sword, he pointed at the young girl, and a terrifying sword aura instantly soared into the sky. Even the roof of the restaurant couldn't block it. In the shadow martial arts, the weakest move, Sword Chiming Mountain, was used by him. This was only a high-tier jade grade martial art, although it was the best of the high-tier jade grade martial arts. But it was still ridiculed by the flower protectors. You dare to show off a high-tier jade grade martial art? What a joke! A total of 8 flower protectors, in order to fight for the credit of defeating Ling Zhao, actually channeled their internal energy and attacked Ling Zhao together. Ling Zhao's face hung a disdainful smile. Lin Ruoxian, Moon Death, and Yu Fanghua didn't have any intention of helping. The onlookers in the restaurant were all surprised. What an arrogant youth! The other party insulted him, and he will fight back, never compromise, never admit defeat. Humph, arrogant. I think he's stupid. Daring to attack without knowing who the other party is, he's courting death. That's not necessarily true. Do you know where this youth came from? What if he's really a guest of Her Highness Jihyun of Silla? Jihyun of Silla isn't any worse than the War Prince. But this youth's martial art skills are too weak. He must be from a small place. While the crowd was discussing, Ling Zhao had already met the 8 flower protectors. "Get out of my way." Suddenly, sword radiance gushed out. Yin Mountain appeared. The peak of Yin Mountain was like a terrifying sword aura, piercing through the defense of the 8 flower protectors. It was powerful and invincible. Boom! 8 figures flew out at the same time, landing on the street outside the restaurant. The 8 of them were injured by the sword aura, covered in blood, and obviously unable to continue fighting. Chapter 2602. Everyone discussed animatedly, their hearts filled with shock. It seemed that this young man was only 16 or 17 years old. How could he have such terrifying strength, such a tyrannical cultivation? He fought against 8 people alone and easily won. This young man, even in the capital, could be called a genius. The young girl's gaze instantly froze. Her arrogant expression became extremely awkward. Watching her 8 flower protectors being sent flying with one move, her heart was already surging with monstrous waves. No, don't come over. She was terrified. She no longer had the arrogance from before, especially when she saw Ling Zhao walking towards her step by step. The fear in her heart instantly rose to the extreme. Usually, she used her family's power to flaunt her prowess in the capital, wantonly humiliating foreign martial artists. Those people had never dared to resist her, so she became more and more arrogant. But today she had hit a nail that made her incomparably regretful. "Kneel!" Ling Zhao's voice suddenly sounded. The young girl subconsciously knelt on the ground with both knees. She didn't want to do so, but that terrifying pressure seemed to have a terrifying magic that forced her to kneel. There was an uproar in the surroundings. Many people knew the identity of this young girl. Seeing that Ling Zhao dared to make the young girl kneel, they were all shocked. "You asked me to kneel for you, lick your shoes clean and be your slave. But now you're kneeling in front of me without even the courage to stand up. What are you?" Ling Zhao didn't like to cause trouble, but he was absolutely not afraid of trouble. Because his strength wasn't strong enough, he hoped to keep a low profile. But if there were people who didn't want him to keep a low profile, then he would keep a high profile for them. He was afraid that if he kept a high profile, they wouldn't be able to control themselves. Moreover, facing this kind of vicious and ugly woman who wanted a yard after taking an inch. Your weakness would only make her more rampant. If you took a step back, she would take 10 steps forward. If Ling Xiao really had to kneel today, then he would be crippled. If there was a first time, there would be a second time. This couldn't be allowed to happen. Moreover, kneeling to obtain the other party's forgiveness? That was obviously impossible. The final result would be kneeling, being humiliated, and possibly dying without a complete corpse. It wasn't as if there were no such examples. Ling Xiao had seen many. So, could he admit defeat? Would he be able to do as he was told? If he couldn't do it, then he had to resist, even if the road ahead was filled with unknown dangers. Ling Xiao never thought of himself as a good person. He didn't think that he was a pushover either. He didn't think that he was a soft-hearted person. Since he had already come this far, he might as well be even more arrogant. You can't hit me. My status is incomparably noble. If you hit me, you're dead. The young lady's body trembled uncontrollably. At this moment, other than using her identity to threaten the other party, she couldn't find any other way to solve this problem. Honorable? I really can't tell. Ling Xiao said in disdain. You should understand that the profound world is a world where strength is respected. A person's status is earned by their own ability. Perhaps your family is very powerful, but in front of me, you are a complete piece of trash. A fox borrowing the tiger's might to intimidate others. Useless mud can't support a wall. Don't worry, I said before that I won't kill you. But these 10 slaps, I must do it. He continued to walk forward without the slightest hesitation in his eyes. Whatever he said he would do it. You're crazy. You lunatic. You dare to hit me? I will definitely let you die without a burial ground. Since I was born, in this world, no one has dared to slap me. Even my father didn't hit me. The young lady roared loudly. She wanted to turn around and run away, but the pressure Ling Xiao gave her was too terrifying, to the extent that her body couldn't move at all. Then I will feel very honored. The feeling of slapping your face must be very good. A mocking smile appeared on Ling Xiao's face. Stop your dirty and lowly actions. I swear, if you touch me, those 3 women with you will all be sent to the brothel and be trampled upon by countless men. The young lady let out a vicious curse. This made Ling Xiao's sneer become even more sinister. Other than deepening Ling Xiao's determination to hit her, it really didn't have any effect. There are some things that you have to pay the price for doing. There are some things that can never be said out loud. Otherwise, don't be surprised if you appear in the brothel of the royal city one day, because I've remembered everything you've said. Ling Xiao had originally wanted to just slap the other party and get it over with, but the other party's vicious curse made him want to take revenge. His friends, his women, no one was allowed to humiliate them. Never. Don't. The young lady was almost in despair. No matter how she threatened Ling Xiao's palm was already brandishing. A strong wind was blowing on his palm. With this slap, not only would she lose all her face, but her face would also be deformed. She could feel the terror of this slap. Have mercy. Suddenly, a figure appeared on the stairs. It was a woman, and Ling Xiao knew this woman. It was none other than Hong Min, who had followed Ji Hyun of Silla in the 8 Immortals County. At this moment, Hong Min, Ari's red dress was fluttering in the wind. She was like a goddess who had emerged from a raging fire. Her beauty and nobility actually caused countless people in the restaurant to cheer. This kind of beauty, if it were any other man, with just a few words, they would have already fallen under her skirt. TSK, even Ji Hyun of Silla's top strategist is here. I'm afraid she won't be able to see today's slap. That's right. Although Ji Hyun of Silla and the Warring Prince are at loggerheads in the imperial court, they like to rope in each other's people. If Hong Min, can save the young lady, it will be a great favor. That's right. Moreover, the young lady's identity is indeed not ordinary. Since Hong Min is here, if she doesn't help, it will cause a lot of trouble. What a pity! Everyone felt that regardless of whether Ling Xiao was Ji Hyun of Silla's man or not, since Hong Min was here, this matter should be over. Ling Xiao looked at Hong Min calmly. He had seen this woman once, but today he realized that she was even more charming than before, and she exuded a noble aura from head to toe. That kind of nobility made people afraid to get close to her. However, there was no change in his eyes. Hong Min beauty was out of this world, but compared to the Moon Lady, she was still a far cry. Why would Ling Xiao care about her? Moreover, Hong Min liked to play tricks. Back in the 8 Immortals County, when Impa came to deal with him, it was probably this woman's doing. Therefore, not only did he not like this woman, but he also hated her. It was just that he did not show it. Miss Min is pleading with her? When the slaps landed on the young girl's face, Hong Miner's expression turned ugly. Inside the restaurant, there was a deathly silence. Who was that young girl? She was the 14th prince's cousin, noble consort Jiu Hua's maternal family. Although she was not a member of the royal family, she was a member of the royal family and had a close relationship with the 14th prince. The young man really did slap her. This slap was not only aimed at the young girl's face. It was aimed at the 14th prince's face, noble consort Jiu Hua's face, Hong Miner's face, and Ji Hyun of Silla's face. The crowd was completely dumbfounded. They had never seen such a crazy person. The young girl's face was completely disfigured. However, she was not concerned about her face. She was concerned about her own face. She was a member of the royal family, noble consort Jiu Hua's maternal family. Many people wanted to curry favor with her. Who would dare to hit her? However, this young man did not hesitate to slap her 10 times today. Until now, she still could not believe that this was the truth. Her somewhat frightened and dazed eyes were filled with complicated emotions. Ling Xiao, you shouldn't have hit her. If you hit her, Ji Hyun of Silla won't be able to protect you. Not to mention the 14th prince, noble consort Jiu Hua's title is second only to the queen. Now, she's deeply favored by the king. If she were to say something to you, you wouldn't be able to survive in the imperial city. Hong Miner's voice was somewhat frightening and cold. Although she still had a noble air about her, one could feel that she was burning with rage. Ling Xiao had offended her. He did not give her any face at all. This was something she could not accept no matter what. So what? Ling Xiao looked at Hong Miner and said, So you're saying that I should kneel before her, lick her shoes, and become her slave? What a joke! Ling Xiao's voice was arrogant and unruly, cold and awe-inspiring. This was an innate pride that was integrated into one's soul. A proud soul would not allow others to humiliate him. You might not like to hear this, but this is the imperial city, not the 8 Immortals County. Here, you're nothing. Even if she really wants you to kneel and lick her shoes, you should listen. Only then will you have a chance to live. You should know that in the imperial city, there are many men who want to lick her shoes but don't have the chance. Haha. Ling Xiao could not help but laugh coldly. What are you laughing at? Hong Miner asked with a frown. I'm laughing at you. Didn't you find out when you investigated me? When I first set foot in the 8 Immortals County, someone warned me as well. But I didn't listen. What happened in the end? Those people were all trampled under my feet and became my stepping stones to improve myself. To put it bluntly, the Imperial City is just a slightly bigger 8 Immortals County. The Chun country is not as strong as the Volcano country. Moreover, there are at least tens of thousands of countries like it in the western region. What a joke! Do you think this is a scary place? I'd like to see what I can do after I hit her. Lunatic! Hong Miner was silent for a moment before she said, To think that Her Highness Jihyun of Silla and I had high hopes for you and let you become the suzerain of the 8 Immortals County. I didn't expect you to be so stubborn. That's funny. What difference does it make whether Jihyun of Silla gives me the position of suzerain of the 8 Immortals County? That place is already my territory. If you don't believe me, you can ask your spies and see if they are regretting being locked in a steel cage. Ling Xiao stared at Hong Minor and said, I didn't mention this before because I wanted to cooperate with Jihyun of Silla, but what you did today made me very unhappy. Let's postpone the cooperation, because you'll be responsible for the consequences of today's incident. If Jihyun of Silla still wants to cooperate with me, she'll have to pay a better price. Otherwise, there's no need to talk about it. You're still in the mood to talk about cooperation with me? Do you know that even if Jihyun of Silla and I don't pursue the matter, you're dead meat after hitting her? Chapter 2604. Dead meat? Haha, Hong Minor, I think you've misunderstood the crux of the matter. Ling Xiao shook his head and said, Perhaps in your eyes, my value is incomparable to this woman's family. In front of her, I'm like an ant not worth mentioning. I can even be humiliated and tortured at will. I can't fight back or resist. Even if she kills me, I'll have to thank her with a smile. I'm sorry, but I'm not that lowly. Even if I don't do anything, I'll still be humiliated and even killed. I'll slap her, but I'll be happy in return. The worst outcome is still being tortured to death. Then, may I ask, how should I choose Hong Minor, my great strategist? But have you ever thought that if you don't fight back, you'll be the only one to die? Once you fight back, all your family and friends will die. Can you afford to pay such a price? Hong Minor asked. Hearing this, Ling Xiao's face suddenly turned ferocious. He looked at the girl coldly and said, In other words, I can only choose to die, or my whole family will die with me, right? That's right. Now you know how powerful I am, don't you? The girl seemed to have realized that she had a powerful backer. Although her face was deformed from the slap, her courage returned. She actually mustered the courage to yell at Ling Xiao again. Ha ha! Ling Xiao suddenly laughed out loud. Listen up, little girl. No matter which family you're from, I can guarantee that before you hurt my family, I'll let you taste the feeling of having your family destroyed. Especially you. No matter what your family wants to do to my friends, once I find out about it, I can guarantee that you'll disappear from this world. I can guarantee that no matter what price I'll have to pay, at least before the price falls on me, I'll let her pay the price first. His vicious words caused everyone's hearts to tremble violently. What a terrifying young man. It turned out that before he made his move, he was already prepared to fight to the death. Although the girl's family was powerful, there were many people in her family who were not as powerful as this young man. There were even ordinary people. If this young man really became ruthless, not to mention that this young girl would die, her family would most likely suffer heavy casualties. For such a large family, it was not worth it at all. Exchanging thousands of lives for a few ants was really not worth it. A threat. This was a clear threat. Even the royal family wouldn't want to offend such a lunatic. He was like a poisonous snake. If you couldn't kill him immediately, then what awaited you would be endless revenge. Just the thought of it was terrifying. Hong Minor frowned. She began to wonder if it was worth it to offend Ling Xiao for this girl. This Ling Xiao was really too calm. He was so calm that it seemed like everything was under his control. How could this be? Could it be that this guy still had some tricks up his sleeve? Come to think of it, when she was investigating Ling Xiao's identity, there were still many suspicious points that she had yet to investigate. You dare threaten me? You dare threaten my family? The girl clearly understood what Ling Xiao meant. She rubbed her pale face and asked in disbelief, Looks like you're not so stupid that you can't be saved. That's right, I'm threatening you. So what? Ling Xiao looked at the girl coldly. In his opinion, it was a miracle that this girl could live to this age. For such a stupid and arrogant person, no matter how strong her background was, she would meet her match sooner or later. Even if she didn't meet Ling Xiao, she might meet someone else. In the world of martial arts, there was no lack of lunatics. Not to mention that this girl was just a relative of the royal family. Even if she was from a legitimate royal family, she would still have enemies like the heavenly demon cult. Those people would even dare to attack a prince, let alone an idiotic girl. Perhaps you're so arrogant now because you don't know how powerful this child's family is. If you do, I'm afraid you'll have to kneel and beg for mercy. Hong Min felt indignant. Perhaps it was because she was used to controlling others. Suddenly meeting someone who didn't follow her routine made her feel a little out of control. She wanted to see Ling Xiao ask her for help, kneel in front of her and beg for help. This way, her master, Jihyun of Silla, would be able to control Ling Xiao better. Haha, I really don't know what kind of top expert can scare me into kneeling and begging for mercy in the small Qin kingdom. Ling Xiao sneered disdainfully. Hong Min looked into Ling Xiao's eyes and said, "Her father is a martial artist at the peak of the Yin-Yang realm's 9th level of hell. As for her cousin, the 14th prince, his strength is even more unfathomable. No one knows his true cultivation, but everyone knows that he can easily kill a martial artist at the peak of the Yin-Yang realm's 9th level of hell." Hong Min hoped to see fear in Ling Xiao's eyes. The girl also hoped to see Ling Xiao kneel and beg for mercy in a panic. That way, she could return the 10 slaps to this guy. However, it was a pity. Whether it was Hong Min or the girl, they didn't see a trace of fear in Ling Xiao's eyes. Instead, they heard Ling Xiao's disdainful sneer. "That's it." Ling Xiao said disdainfully, "I thought it was some great expert. I wonder if you'll faint if I tell you my master's identity and strength?" "Your master?" Hong Min frowned. She almost forgot that there was a rumor in the 8 Immortal City that Ling Xiao had a powerful master who could easily destroy the entire 8 Immortals Mountain. However, she didn't find this person during the investigation, so she didn't take it to heart. Now that Ling Xiao mentioned it, her frown deepened. "That's right. This guy has always been very casual. He never gives in to others. It seems that he's not reckless. He's confident." Hong Min started to worry that she might have ruined Jihyun of Silla's plan. Today, she was only here to pick up Ling Xiao under Jihyun of Silla's order. However, she acted on her own initiative and helped the girl. If something really went wrong, she couldn't explain it to Jihyun of Silla. "What kind of master can a country bumpkin like you have?" the girl asked disdainfully. "My master is from the golden heavenly nation. With her cultivation, it's easy for her to destroy the small Qin nation. Otherwise, how could a country bumpkin like me have such a good cultivation? How could I have such a great talent? Those were all given to me by my master." Ling Xiao's words explained his abnormal talent and cultivation. It didn't matter if others believed it or not. It was just an excuse. Nonsense. How could the golden heavenly nation have anything to do with a lowly guy like you? Chapter 2605. It seems that you know something about the golden heavenly nation. Ling Xiao smiled and said, "As a member of the royal family, you don't know how to concentrate on cultivation. You only know how to bully others and cause trouble everywhere. People like you will not only bring great danger to yourself, you may even destroy the entire royal family of the Chun Kingdom. Don't think that I'm exaggerating. It's not like there haven't been such examples before." The girl's face suddenly became very ugly, although she didn't know if Ling Xiao's words were true. But because of arrogance offending a strong enemy and ultimately leading to the destruction of the entire family did happen. And it happened in the Qin Kingdom, so she was very clear about it. "You're just trying to scare people. Do you really think that a few specious words are enough to scare off the heroes of the capital city? Another person appeared on the stairs. He was about 40 years old, with a tall and sturdy figure. There was an explosive aura erupting from his body. On his left and right there were two men following. The aura of these two men was actually comparable to Ling Xiao, and this man in his 40s was naturally much stronger than Ling Xiao. Uncle Gu! Seeing this middle-aged man, the vicious girl seemed to have seen her savior. She ran over and cried, "Uncle, you have to uphold justice for me." "Good girl, don't worry. As the commander of the city defense camp, this old man is responsible for this kind of thing." Gu Tianba gently patted the girl's hand, then looked at Ling Xiao and said coldly, "Boy, are you ready to die?" "Die? Sorry, I haven't lived long enough." Ling Xiao looked at Gu Tianba indifferently. He suddenly remembered that he had killed Gu Mingyu before. If Gu Tianba knew that his precious son was killed by Ling Xiao, what kind of expression would he have? Would he still have the mood to stand up for someone like this? This old man doesn't care if you've lived long enough. Today, you committed a crime in this old man's territory. If this old man doesn't kill you, I won't be able to answer to my old friend. But don't worry, this old man won't bully you. Let my two subordinates come down and spar with you." Gu Tianba smiled faintly. Marquis Gu still has the mood to meddle in other people's business? Why didn't he investigate whether his precious son had died outside? When I was on my way to Thunder City, I heard that a group of Arcana Academy's disciples had died in the mountains and were discovered by hunters. TSK, they died so miserably. One of them was even wearing the waist token of a first-grade military marquis. As soon as Ling Xiao finished speaking, the smile on Gu Tianba's face disappeared. Gu Tianba's face suddenly became very ugly. In an instant, he arrived in front of Ling Xiao and reached out to grab Ling Xiao. He only had one son. If he died, it would be the end of his family line. The main reason was that she had provoked an enemy 2 years ago. As a result, her private part was destroyed, and she could no longer have children. If Gu Mingyu really died, then he would be in a miserable state. However, Ling Xiao was like a slippery loach. In an instant, his figure turned into several wolf shadows, dodging Gu Tianba's attack and grabbing the girl instead. The girl was so scared that her face turned pale and she screamed in fear. "I told you before that if your people touch me, I will kill you first. You didn't believe me before, but now you should believe me, right?" Ling Xiao said coldly, "Let her go, or I will kill you." Gu Tianba was very protective of the girl, but now, because he was eager to know the news of his son's death, he directly rushed over and tried to force Ling Xiao to let go of the girl. Boom! This time, Ling Xiao didn't dodge. Instead, Gu Tianba was blocked by a middle-aged man who had just arrived at the restaurant. "Gu Tianba, are you crazy? My daughter is in his hands. Do you want her to die?" The man who came was the girl's father. It seemed that his strength was not inferior to Gu Tianba. Experts were gradually showing up, one by one. "Father, save me!" The girl shouted loudly, "Let go of my daughter, and I will spare your life." The voice of the middle-aged man who had just arrived was filled with anger. A terrifying pressure pressed down on Ling Xiao like a mountain, wanting to crush Ling Xiao directly. However, he miscalculated. Only the defeated Ling Xiao and the unintimidated Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao stood there and looked at the middle-aged man indifferently and said, "You know that your daughter is in my hands, but you still don't speak properly. Do you really think that I don't dare to kill her? How dare you? Do you know where this place is? Under the feet of the emperor. How can you act recklessly?" Gu Tianba became even angrier. The terrifying pressure made the entire restaurant begin to shake violently as if there was the possibility of it collapsing at any time. The crowd in the restaurant who were watching the show, except for a few who were relatively stronger, almost all of them retreated outside to watch the show. Ling Xiao could feel that the pressure on his body was getting heavier and heavier. However, his back was still very straight. He looked at the middle-aged man coldly and said indifferently, "I told you to be more polite when you talk to me." A sword aura emerged from his fingertip and left a bloody mark on the girl's neck. The middle-aged man was shocked, but he was immediately filled with rage. Suddenly, he pounced on Lin Ruoxian and the others. "Sai Ling Xiao, I told you that you shouldn't have done that." Hong Min sighed and said, "Now, do you still dare to repeat what you said before? Even if you kill that child, your 3 friends will have their blood splattered on the spot." She enjoyed the thrill of controlling others. She liked to see other people panicking. She hoped that others would beg her. Only then would she be able to satisfy her boundless vanity. However, Ling Xiao's face did not have the expression she expected, or fear, or regret, or panic. Ling Xiao's face was filled with absolute coldness and ruthlessness. His hand gently slid across the girl's neck. A big head fell to the ground, making a bang sound. The sound instantly silenced the entire restaurant. The reason why the girl's father dared to attack Lin Ruoxian and the others was that he was sure that Ling Xiao would not dare to kill his daughter, because if he killed his daughter, Ling Xiao would have no hostages. But he never expected that Ling Xiao would actually attack. Ah! The girl's father exploded with endless anger and roared. He originally wanted to take Ling Xiao's friends as hostages, but now he did not intend to do that. His action turned into an attack. He wanted to kill the 3 women. At the same time, Gu Tianba also attacked. He charged toward Ling Xiao. Now that Ling Xiao had lost the protection of the hostages, he no longer had any scruples. However, at this moment, something strange happened. A gust of terrifying cold air suddenly swept up in the restaurant. It was as if the moonlight had turned into frost when it shone on the ground. Then Gu Tianba and the girl's father were both thrown out of the restaurant. "How dare you bully the man I like?" It was Yu Fanghua who spoke. Chapter 2606. No one is allowed to hurt my man. Otherwise, I'll kill you. Yu Fanghua's voice came from behind the veil under the bamboo hat. It was extremely cold. In an instant, the entire restaurant seemed to have turned into night. Only the bright moon was emitting cold light. At this moment, everyone felt fear and coldness from the bottom of their hearts. Even Hong Min was frowning. She was no longer as calm and composed as before. She did not understand. How could Ling Xiao be protected by such a woman? Such terrifying strength. What is her cultivation level? Hong Min thought to herself, 10 levels of hell in 1 revolution? 11 levels of hell? Or even stronger? If she was at the 10 levels of hell in 1 revolution, she would definitely be considered an expert in the royal city. If she was at the 11 levels of hell, she would probably be one of the top experts in the royal city. What if she was even stronger? Hong Min did not dare to think about it. The others also felt that this woman was unfathomable. Although they could not see her face clearly, her body was emitting bright moonlight. She was like a beautiful fairy from the Moon Palace. People could not help but imagine the peerless beauty behind the veil. Some women were like this. Even if they did not use their beauty, they could conquer men with their aura alone. They could also conquer women. Everyone was shocked by this. Of course, no matter how strong her aura was, she was only slightly more noble than a vase. Whether a woman could be recognized by the mystic world depended on her strength. This woman only used 1 move to send Marquis Gu Tianba and the vicious girl's father flying. How could she be weak with such strength? Even Ling Xiao was surprised. Previously in the valley, he saw the corpse of the 3-headed lava hound and knew that Yu Fanghua was not weak. This was also the reason why he did not intervene when he saw the vicious girl's father attacking Yu Fanghua. However, he was very surprised that Yu Fanghua was so strong. Although her aura was still far from the Moon Lady's aura, she was indeed very strong. There was no doubt about it. I didn't expect that I would have to rely on Sister Yuenu's protection in the past, and now I would have to rely on her reincarnation, Yu Fanghua, to protect me. Looks like I really have to work harder. Otherwise, how can I protect my woman? Ling Xiao could not help but shake his head and smile bitterly. Yu Fenghua's strength made him even calmer. He believed that with his strength and Yu Fenghua's cooperation, they would be able to make a name for themselves even in the royal capital. Why aren't you getting lost? Are you waiting to die? Gu Tianba and the vicious girl's father had already stood up and returned to the restaurant. Young lady, do you know that by doing this, you have committed a great crime? Gu Tianba frowned. Scram. Yu Fanghua gently flicked her sleeves, and Gu Tianba was once again blasted away. This time he was blasted even further, flying hundreds of meters away. He fell into a residential building and never came back. And you, take her corpse and scram. Yu Fanghua looked at the vicious girl's father and said coldly, "Don't think about revenge. I'm already being merciful by not exterminating your entire family because of her." Thank you. The vicious girl's father no longer had any thoughts of revenge. Instead, he was filled with fear. When he saw the girl's corpse, he even felt lucky. His foolish daughter had died, but he had seen how terrifying his enemy was. Even if he was beaten to death in the future, he would never offend such a terrifying existence again, unless he had a stronger power or backing. So what if he was a relative? In front of a powerful martial artist, authority was not worth mentioning. What are you still doing here? Scram. Yu Fanghua looked at Hong Min, and said coldly, I was ordered by Jihyun of Silla to pick up Ling Xiao. How can I leave without picking him up? Hong Min shook her head. She did not look good and was no longer as calm as before. This was because she knew that she was no match for the woman in front of her. She was unhappy that the other party asked her to scram, but she did not dare to be angry. Nonsense. Is this how you welcome Jihyun of Silla's guest? I don't care what kind of person your Royal Highness is. What kind of sincerity is this if you don't come personally to pick up my man? I'll give you 3 breaths time to scram as far as you can. Although Yu Fanghua was the reincarnation of the Moon Lady, her temper was even more domineering than the Moon Lady. She was comparable to Ling Xiao. Miss, although your cultivation is powerful, the capital city is not a place where you can do whatever you want. Jihyun of Silla is not someone Ling Xiao can compare to. Why should the Royal Highness come personally to pick him up? 1 more breath. Yu Fanghua did not respond to Hong Min's words. Her cold voice was heard again. Hong Min wanted to say something. Yu Fanghua had already attacked. It seemed like a casual slap, but it caused the expressions of everyone in the restaurant to change. Boom! The terrifying wind from the slap uprooted the restaurant and caused it to collapse instantly. Dust and smoke filled the air. Hong Min was sent flying by the slap. She no longer had the gentleness she had before. Damn, this woman is so ferocious, so powerful. Yeah, she sent Jihyun of Silla's top strategist flying with a slap. What kind of power does she have? No wonder that young man is so confident and dares to kill in the capital city. He has a strong background. Could that woman be his master? Didn't you hear what he said? He has a master from the golden, heavenly nation. Even the 9 supremes are afraid of the golden, heavenly nation, let alone our little Qin nation. Damn, this young man really has a strong background. I'm afraid he's going to cause a huge commotion in Thunder City. The person who said this was probably just saying it casually. He would never have thought that what he said would become the truth. Boss, I'm very sorry for destroying your restaurant. How about this? I'll compensate you with double the price. Ling Xiao looked at the restaurant owner who was trembling in the ruins and couldn't help but feel apologetic. Although he wasn't the one who destroyed the building, Yu Fanghua was his woman after all. Naturally, he should be responsible. No, 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 you don't have to compensate me. You don't have to compensate me. The restaurant owner's expression changed drastically. Obviously, he was shocked by Yu Fenghua's terrifying power. Although the restaurant owner had a backer, it couldn't be compared to Ji Hyun of Silla. She even dared to beat up Ji Hyun of Silla's men, let alone him. If he wants compensation, just take it. Why are you talking so much nonsense? Yu Fenghua said fiercely. Okay. I'll take it. This restaurant is worth 1,000,000 low-grade spiritual stones. Just give me 1,000,000. I don't dare to ask for double, the restaurant owner hurriedly said. Ling Xiao took out a storage ring and handed it to the restaurant owner. Take it. There are 2,000,000 low-grade spiritual stones inside. You don't have to return the storage ring. I'm sorry about today. Chapter 2607. Let's go. Let's walk around the streets. Ling Xiao threw the storage ring to the restaurant owner. He didn't want to stay here any longer. Although he hadn't eaten, this place was already in ruins. He couldn't stay here any longer. Moreover, he didn't like being surrounded by so many people. The three girls followed him to the streets. They found a stall with good food and sat down. Only then did they have time to eat. For martial artists of their level, eating was basically a pure enjoyment. Little sister Fenghua, your strength is too strong. After eating, the four of them sat down and chatted. Lin Ruoxian said with a bitter smile. She thought Ling Xiao was already a monster. However, Yu Fenghua, who was about the same age as Ling Xiao, was even more abnormal. She really didn't know how this woman cultivated. Moon Death sighed. She originally had some expectations for Ling Xiao. She hoped that one day she could serve Ling Xiao with Lin Ruoxian. But they didn't expect that even before Qinguo left, they would encounter a monster like Yu Fenghua, who made them completely lose their competitiveness. Her beauty, temperament, and strength were all first class. How could they compete? Looking at big brother Ling Xiao's expression, he must be very fond of this Fenghua. You're so strong, but you were thrown to a small place like the Chen nation to fend for yourself. How scary is the Eternal Palace? Thinking about how he was going to the Eternal Palace to seek justice for his father Ling Xiao, Ling Xiao felt that his body was filled with energy and hot blood. The stronger the opponent, the more his fighting spirit was aroused. It's not really thrown. Although I was indeed isolated in the Eternal Palace has always had a rule. The most outstanding geniuses of the younger generation will be thrown far away to hide their identities and fend for themselves. Whoever can walk back to the Eternal Palace with their own strength can directly become a core disciple of the Eternal Palace. Yu Fenghua explained, this is also a kind of experience for me. So that's how it is. The Eternal Life Palace is indeed the #1 force in the Black Tortoise Continent. This kind of training method is simply unheard of, Ling Xiao said with some surprise. Then, with a powerful bodyguard like me accompanying you, you won't feel bored, right? Yu Fenghua suddenly asked. Why would I feel bored? Don't you think that following us will affect your training? Ling Xiao asked curiously. Of course, he wanted Yu Fenghua to follow him. But he didn't want Yu Fenghua to lose the opportunity to gain experience. Even if he reincarnated, he still hoped that Yu Fenghua could become stronger. It won't, because I know that as long as I stay by your side, something interesting will happen. I like this feeling. Yu Fenghua's voice suddenly became slightly agitated. He could tell that this woman was serious. Ling Xiao was a daring person. Sometimes he would do things that would make people dumbfounded. Following him was indeed very exciting. Ling Xiao was about to say something when he suddenly saw a luxurious black tortoise carriage appear on the street. A person came down from the carriage. If it wasn't Qin Kanglin of Ji Hyun of Silla, who else could it be? Qin Kanglin was walking in front with Hong Min, following behind. At this moment, Hongmin was tied up with ropes and looked very miserable. Ling Xiao frowned and thought that Chen Kanglin was really a formidable person. In order to befriend him, or more accurately, to befriend Yu Fenghua, he didn't hesitate to play the trick of injuring himself to gain the sympathy of Hongmin. That Hongmin was still injured. Yeah, little brother Ling Xiao, it's really this king's fault for not being considerate enough and causing you to suffer. Min, why aren't you apologizing to brother Ling Xiao? I ordered you to welcome him, but you turned against them. This makes me very unhappy. Jihyun of Silla was very friendly to Ling Xiao, but he was very aggressive to Hong Min. It's Min who failed to recognize you and offended you, young hero Ling. Please forgive me. Hong Min lowered her noble head and apologized to the country bumpkin that she looked down on. Your Highness, why are you looking for me today? Ling Xiao asked calmly. Of course, he wouldn't be moved to tears because of Jihyun of Silla's act. After all, he was a person who had experienced a lot and was no longer a 3-year-old child. Brother, don't be angry. Come with me to Jihyun of Silla's residence. I've already prepared food and wine and generous gifts. You can't refuse me. Jihyun of Silla laughed. Kill her, and I'll go with you. Ling Xiao said all of a sudden. Jihyun of Silla frowned. He didn't seem to understand Ling Xiao's meaning, but he also seemed to be in disbelief of Ling Xiao's words. Is it strange? I'll go with you if you kill Hong Min. Ling Xiao said calmly. Hong Min became very angry when she heard what Ling Tianyi said. She was just cooperating with Jihyun of Silla and Chen Kanglin to put on a show. She was already very uncomfortable when she was asked to apologize to Ling Xiao. Now Ling Xiao wanted her to die? How could she tolerate this? It seems that your Highness Jihyun of Silla is only this bold. Forget it. You can go back to your residence, and I'll go back to my Arcana Academy. We'll have nothing to do with each other from now on. Ling Xiao said with a cold smile when he saw Jihyun of Silla's hesitation. Wait a minute. Chen Kanglin of Jihyun of Silla suddenly attacked Hong Min's forehead. This attack was very powerful and could definitely kill Hong Min. Hong Min didn't resist. It was obvious that she trusted Jihyun of Silla so much. At that moment, she was stunned. She couldn't believe that your Highness Jihyun of Silla, whom she admired and trusted, would do this to her. Was he really going to kill her? I'm just kidding. Your Highness took it seriously. Just when Chen Kanglin's attack was about to touch Hong Min's forehead, Ling Xiao stopped Jihyun of Silla and said with a smile, Miss Hong Min, is your Highness strategist? What did Ling Xiao do to deserve your Highness' favor? You even killed your strategist to avenge Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao will definitely remember this kindness in his heart. Ling Xiao felt that his words were disgusting. It was not what he wanted to say. If Jihyun of Silla really wanted to kill Hong Min, he wouldn't be able to stop him. Jihyun of Silla was just putting on an act. Therefore, when he tried to stop him, Jihyun of Silla immediately stopped him. Jihyun of Silla was really cunning. However, no matter how cunning the wolf was, it was still tricked by Ling Xiao. Although Jihyun of Silla didn't attack Hong Min, it left an indelible crack in her heart. Ling Xiao believed that this crack wouldn't affect their relationship. However, it might not be the case as time passed. Brother, what are you talking about? Since we're brothers, I'll do my best to help you. Can we go to my residence now? Jihyun of Silla had cursed Ling Xiao hundreds of times in his heart. However, he didn't say it out loud and acted appropriately. Chapter 2608. Of course. Let's get on the carriage. After getting on the carriage, Ling Xiao smiled and said, I remember that your Highness was attacked by the Dragon Cult's assassins on the way to Thunder City. I wonder what the situation was like at that time. Fortunately, younger brother lured away an expert from the Dragon Cult. which allowed this king and Minor to join hands and kill a few of them before returning to Thunder City. It's a pity that 13th brother was snatched away by them. When Jihyun of Silla mentioned the 13th prince, there wasn't the slightest bit of pity on her face. On the contrary, she seemed to be very happy. This dragon cult really dares to make an enemy out of the royal family? At this moment, Ling Xiao was treating this Jihyun of Silla as his own encyclopedia. In any case, since they were in a cooperative relationship, the other party would definitely answer his questions. After all, it wasn't a secret. The dragon cult. That's the biggest cult in our Qin country, as well as our most terrifying enemy. It was originally created by an expert from the volcano country, but it developed and expanded, spreading throughout the Qin country like a prairie fire. Their cult members spread throughout the Qin country, and what they do is to dissolve the Qin country's authority. Chun Kanglin sighed and continued. In order to eliminate the dragon cult, the royal family has launched several large-scale operations. However, this dragon cult is like a weed that grows again with the spring breeze. Although their overall strength isn't comparable to the Chun country's royal family or the Arcana Academy, their individual talents are extremely high. Therefore, even after so many years, no one is able to do anything to the other. Ling Xiao pondered inwardly. He had seen more than one person from the dragon cult. There were those with temperament, such as Sire Shui. However, there were also those with sinister intentions, such as Lin Quan. Therefore, no one knew what kind of sect it was. However, one thing was for sure. This sect was definitely an enemy of the Chen country's royal family. It was an extension of the volcano country's regime. Younger brother, the people from the dragon cult are no different from ordinary people, so you have to be careful. Last time, you killed a disciple of the dragon cult, even though they weren't that strong. But since you've done that, the dragon cult might target you. Jihyun of Silla reminded. Thank you for your concern, Your Highness. I understand. Ling Xiao would not easily side with anyone, be it the Chun Kingdom's royal family or the dragon cult. These were all problems that he had to solve. He wanted to bring the state of Chen into the sphere of influence of the Heavenly Dynasty Empire. If he couldn't control these powers, then he could only destroy them. Not long after, the black tortoise carriage arrived at Jihyun of Silla's residence. The size of the prince's mansion wasn't considered large and looked rather plain. However, the overall construction was clearly specially designed and contained the profoundness of formations. If there was someone who didn't know what was good for him and wanted to make a move on this mansion, he was afraid that he would be in big trouble. On the gate of Jihyun of Silla's residence, there were 2 ferocious cobra carvings. Ordinary people would think that these were carvings, but Ling Xiao, who was well versed in formations, knew. These ferocious cobras were the demonic beasts that guarded the prince's mansion. They were the most loyal and most terrifying guards. If a cultivator below the 10th level of hell in the Yinyang realm in the First Revolution barged into the prince's mansion without prior notice, they would be instantly devoured by these venomous cobras. At the gate of the prince's mansion, the passers-by saw Jihyun of Silla personally holding Ling Xiao's hand and walking into the mansion. They couldn't help but exclaim, "Who is that young man? Jihyun of Silla is so close to him." "You don't know, right? I know that young man crippled the 14th prince's cousin in the outer city. She's that vicious woman who flaunts her prowess all day, bullying foreign cultivators as she pleases, and treating their heads as toys. Is he very strong?" "Of course, but the woman by his side is even stronger. I heard that she's his master, someone from the golden, heavenly nation." The crowd discussed fervently. Clearly, they were very interested in this mysterious young man, Ling Xiao. At the same time, they were also in awe of him. Hearing these people's discussion, Jihyun of Silla revealed an imperceptible smile. His idea was actually very simple. He wanted to deliberately show his friendliness to Ling Xiao. He wanted to let everyone in the royal city know that Ling Xiao was his man. In this way, Yu Fanghua would naturally become his man. With such a powerful ally, those who wanted to be his enemy would naturally have to carefully consider the gains and losses. Without a doubt, this would make his forces even stronger. The moment Ling Shao stepped into the prince's mansion, he felt that there was something mysterious under the prince's mansion. Ji-hyun of Silla, good job. There seems to be a giant beast or a powerful cultivator trapped under the prince's mansion. Because of the layers of formations, Ling Shao couldn't see clearly with his Tai Chi eye. But what he could be sure of was that there was a strong power of light and heat under the prince's mansion. The aura that was constantly released could greatly increase the cultivation speed of the cultivators in the prince's mansion. I don't know what good stuff it is. If it's really something related to heat, I can let the little demonist devour it. My external incarnation should continue to grow stronger. He smiled secretly and naturally wouldn't say anything. Now that the situation was unclear, he naturally wouldn't do that. What he was most concerned about now was the situation in the extreme royal secret realm. The reason why he wanted to join the Arcana Academy was because of the extreme royal secret realm. So after entering the prince's mansion and sitting down, Ling Shao directly asked, "Your Highness, can I report to the Arcana Academy today? Will I be able to enter the extreme royal secret realm soon?" He noticed that when he mentioned the extreme royal secret realm, Yu Fenghua's body seemed to tremble slightly. It wasn't a tremble of fear, but a tremble of excitement. Could it be that Yu Fenghua also wanted to enter the extreme royal secret realm? Ling Shao planned to ask later. If Yu Fenghua really needed something from the extreme royal secret realm, he would help her get it no matter what. That was his woman, a woman who had protected him many times. It was only right for him to do something for her. Even if it was a risk, it was absolutely worth it. You don't have to report to the Arcana Academy. As for the quota for the Academy, I will arrange it for you. What you need to do now is to prepare to enter the extreme royal secret realm. Chun Kanglin said, "The extreme royal secret realm opens once a month for half a month. 2 days later, it will be the beginning of the month. According to the rules of the extreme royal secret realm, those who enter must be a disciple of the Arcana Academy. At the same time, they must be recommended by the prince or the king. This time, there will be 6 people from the Ji-hyun of Silla's mansion entering the extreme royal secret realm. Including you, Lin Ruoxian, and Moon Death, there will be exactly 9 people. On the 14th prince's side, there will probably be around 10 people entering. The other princes will at most recommend 1 or 2 people, which is basically negligible. I only have one request, and that is that after entering the extreme royal secret realm, you must kill as many Yuanling as possible and obtain their origin spirit crystals. That is something that can greatly increase your cultivation. However, the Yuanling are too strong. For the time being, you can follow them and gain experience. Just don't drag them down." From Chun Kanglin's words, Ling Shao grasped the crux of the problem. You're tuning in to the Thunder Spear YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.